Recorded in their mother's basement, Super Nerdland brings you Graded Point 5, where in a comic book it would be worth less than the polybag it comes in.
Hey everybody, welcome to Grade Point 5. I'm your host Jason. I brought everybody with me. I mean, like, Wayne's here, Daryl's here, Piper's here, Jordan's here. I mean, it's just like everybody's fucking here.
I don't think you invited everybody. Have you accepted Jesus into your life?
No, actually, have you been paying attention to the Twitter? Earlier I realized I am the second coming of Jesus.
No, you're just a higher evolutionary. That's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, no, dude, I got the long hair and the beard. I'm constantly persecuted for my beliefs.
I thought you were Alan Moore, though.
Yeah, we already explained last night. You're that guy, that hippie in the Godzilla movie who was eating a corn cob.
Daryl, I'm a man of many destinies.
Yeah. I'm just imagining...
Like Joker, I just make him up on the fly.
Yeah. I'm just imagining Jason eating a fucking corn cob. There's no corn on it. It's already been eaten. He's just chewing on the cob.
Yeah. He whittles it down to an actual corn cob pipe and starts smoking weed.
You know, I've never actually smoked weed from a corn cob pipe.
Now you want to.
I
right?
have. There's nothing special about it.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to be special. It's just the allure.
The experience.
I used to smoke my weed from my my tobacco pipe, which was like held like 2 grams.
Christ.
You know, like you do.
Yeah.
Get fucking just sit in my porch smoking. Everybody thought I was smoking tobacco.
Really? Were they like 200 yards away? I was going to say, were they like 200 yards away? Because that's kind of unmistakable. I mean, you know, it's got that particular Christmassy smell.
Right. They were also upwind.
Ah. So you were just farting and smoking pot the whole time? Nobody knew?
No, just sitting there reading a book, smoking a bowl.
Nice.
Alright, before we get any further, we're going to fucking spoil a lot of shit. And if you don't like that, hit us up on Twitter at Grade.5 and we'll basically just tell you to fuck off.
Oh shit.
We suffer no fools.
We definitely know how to fucking deal with our fan base, don't we?
However, if you hit us up at twitter.com/Grade.5 and say something cool, we'll actually talk to you.
And then we'll tell you to fuck off.
Yeah, it's fairly universal.
I mean, yeah, it usually winds up that way.
Yeah, no.
Nah, we actually have a small but
being stupid.
Well, no, we actually do have a small but loyal fan base of intelligent people.
Right, and I feel like if we were giving people shit for being stupid, none of us would talk to one another.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Bro. Yeah.
Alright.
I'd have to go talk to myself.
So yeah, we're doing like one of the 2 good parts of fucking Infinite Crisis. We're gonna do Identity Crisis, yeah.
Yeah. Like you said, Infinite Crisis. Like, wait.
Yeah, I was about to be very fucking confused. I'm like, shit, did he make us read the wrong goddamn book again?
Yeah.
Oh no, there's just like so much fucking bullshit going on in DC around this time. I mean, like, everything was bullshit. Like, more than it is now.
This was their attempt to try. They basically implanted a mega conspiracy, which if y'all have read it, you know, is like, holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's not even like, okay, at the end of the first, you're like, damn. And then at the end of the second, you're like, damn. Then by the end of the third, you're like, oh, no. Oh, no, they fucking didn't. You know?
Oh, God. Fucking panel, you're just sitting there going, fuck.
And then you find out what really, you know, who really did the deal, and you're like,
Hey, is it just me, or did that kind of feel like daytime soap opera-ish?
Like, I think that was kind of the point.
Yeah, I have a feeling.
Of course it's daytime soap opera-ish, man. It's literally a woman going, I miss my superhero husband.
Ex-husband that you divorced.
Mind you, if I remember correctly, she initiated it.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, you know, like.
All right, before we get into any of this shit, Wayne, give us a fucking rundown.
Rundown. Okay. Identity Crisis was written by Brad Meltzer and drawn by Rags Morales. I think coloring by I forgot the first guy's name. It's
Claire.
Yeah. Anyway,
and covers by Michael Turner of No.
Yeah, Michael Turner.
Died at that point in time.
Yep, it was around this time that he It was around this time, wasn't it? The past, yeah. It was like some of the last works he did. Still good, very good work. Essentially, Identity Crisis is telling the story. It starts out as a murder mystery, and then it goes way down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Way fuck down the rabbit hole. And I could imagine, because I read it in trade form, so I never saw the single, got it in single issue, but I can imagine in single issue that the people reading are like, what?
Yeah.
Because they didn't, they get left at that cliffhanger. I mean, each one is like a cliffhanger, and it's like, even the last issue is a fucking cliffhanger when you think about it.
Yeah.
You know what? I did feel that way after finishing it. I was like, is there more to this that we just haven't,
There is.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Let me,
Are we going to be covering that too?
Well, I know I've read beyond that. I think Wayne has too.
So there will be discussion.
I know enough about it, so, yeah.
Right.
So we can inform the class kind of thing.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because it
Wayne and I are overachieving pricks.
It kind of felt a little unfulfilling in that sense. But
it gets to a point. Well, how can I say this?
Well, keep in mind it was Infinite Crisis, right?
Well, this led to Day of Vengeance, which led to Infinite Crisis, that led into Final Crisis. Yes.
So yes, overall, Daryl, there are over 1,000 issues involved. I've read every last one of them.
Jason,
I have read
worse than the Clone Saga.
I've read a few issues and read synopsises, so I basically did what Jordan does.
I spent 3 weeks just reading all of Infinite Crisis.
Oh Lord!
So not only the main 12 books,
I read all the tie-ins,
but all
the
tie-ins.
solo issues.
Mm. Now here's the funny thing. Identity Crisis, when this came out, this was self-contained. There was no spin-off, there was no attached stories or anything like that. As it stood, in fact, while this story was being told, other books were just going on like normal. There was no hide nor hair of any of this. What happened in this book was, happening. It was after this. If you hear me doing a lot of smacking, it's because I'm hitting the shit out of my hardcover. It was after this one.
Doing the hand clap thing.
Let me tell you.
Well, he is a proud black man. So.
It was after this when things really started hitting the fan as far as the DC universe goes. So.
Well, see,
it had such a good lead up too.
It was it was Countdown that I was thinking of with the shit with Max Lord and Ted Gordon.
Countdown was before Infinite Crisis.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the book I was actually thinking of when I was reading this. And
this was the starting point. This is where it all started.
Countdown was Final Crisis.
There was Countdown. There was Countdown. See what it is? They started out as Countdown. Then like halfway through, it changed to Countdown to Infinite Crisis.
Right.
And then there was another Countdown, though. See, there was like 2 countdowns. There was the Countdown Infinite Crisis. That was not a weekly book. That was just a regular.
Yeah, it was originally just DC Countdown.
DC Count because you're thinking about the weekly series, because the first weekly series was the 52, and then they did. I want to say then they did Trinity, and then they did DC Countdown.
Yeah,
those were the between stories. Pretty.
Yeah.
Anyway,
fuck DC's fucking Crisis bullshit.
Well, isn't that just like their fucking once a decade attempt to like reshuffle the fucking continuity?
Shit. I would be. You know what? All it would take to make me cool with this is not relying on the idea of Crisis the same way that Marvel lends itself to Infinity.
Right. I'll be honest with you. Like, if this book right here, I'm gonna smack it again. If this book had been the story and then the ramifications out of that, and we never got Infinite Crisis, I'd have been happy with it.
Oh yeah,
because Infinite Crisis, it was just another fucking reset, essentially.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then Final Crisis was the Omega reset, essentially. Right. That led to New 52. If I'm no. Flashpoint.
You're right.
It was, but it basically did do like a soft reboot again. So.
Jesus Christ.
Let's actually, can we give a real quick synopsis?
Yeah.
Of which aid?
This book.
Of Identity Crisis.
I thought I did.
Well,
I
not
was gonna say, did we
kind of.
argue
Nah. Did
You
you?
kind of hit it in oblique terms, though, dude.
Right. Okay.
I don't want to tell the whole story
A
because
murder occurs, and then we find out some shit happened. I mean, it's really hard to fucking
Alright.
go into.
All right, fuck it. Let's just hit this directly in the face.
let's
Yeah.
do it live. Yeah.
yeah.
No, let's go directly to it. The big fucking question. Is mind wiping and alteration ethical?
Fuck no.
You know, and that seemed to be the
That's a good
question that kind
direction
of,
to go in.
you know, and it's funny because that's almost set up like an ancillary thing, and yet at the same time, it
Becomes
drives
a
so
major
many.
point.
Right. It drives so many of their fucking actions over the course of the comic and shit. And
Alright.
yeah.
Check this. I made a Twitter poll earlier today. You know, I said, you know what? I feel like asking a question. Let's say you were a superhero and your villain found out your identity, your family, etc. You can mind wipe him. Do you? Now, mind you, I left it completely open. Is it like just rewriting those memories, or is it a complete fucking hard drive wipe?
Right.
I left all of it open. Are they going to do anything about it? You don't know. Just at face value. 87% said yes. Overwhelming majority felt it is completely fine to wipe on any level another human being's mind.
Oh, and I can tell you exactly why they think that too.
It's
The main
Go ahead,
reason
Jordan.
is why because you have two people when it comes to this shit. Find out your arch nemesis finds out who your fucking family is. You either stand to your fucking principles or you protect your fucking family. Most people are gonna go with protect my fucking family. However, if you have fucking principles, you're gonna say no because you're. What makes mind wiping a motherfucker any better than just fucking killing him?
Yeah, depending on the severity of the mind wipe too, you know.
I
Like-
have to disagree.
I think, you know,
Well,
but
we can get to that part, but like, okay, so specifically, if you look at what happened in fucking Identity Crisis, there were not one, but fucking two people during the course of this that we know of who were fucking mind wiped. First one was
Oh,
Dr.
far
Light.
more than that.
oh yeah, they
So,
say
yeah.
They explicitly say were fucking mind wiped.
oh no, they
they say more?
explicitly
Oh, yeah,
say
hold on
they
a second. I was,
mind wiped an entire team that had
supervillains.
taken their yeah.
yeah, because they had found out everybody's identity essentially. And
They switched bodies with him and then took a nice long look
that's
in the
right.
mirror.
yeah, because remember the joke was they said you know every time's like something like all he says all those times that like people have swapped bodies with us, you think they didn't take a peek?
Right,
Oh, right, yeah.
I mean, come on, if I took over Batman's body, the first thing I'm doing is looking.
right. But see,
Who are
drive,
you? Oh
dri-
shit, it's Bruce Wayne.
I just wanted to say really quick, driving the moral quandary behind this is the death of a superhero's wife.
Right, yes.
And
the death of Plastic Man's wife.
Sue.
Elongated man. Elongated man.
Elongated man.
I
Ralph Dibny's wife, Sue.
Yeah, Sue Dibney.
Right.
Right, okay. Yeah, we know that. So the two main people.
Oh, it's pregnant wife too.
Yeah, that part was.
Oh,
Oof.
dark.
Yeah.
It's heavy hitting, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
So Dr. Light gets done. Batman also gets done. Now we also know these motherfuckers regain those memories that were fucking wiped. Why not just put a fucking bullet in Dr. Light's fucking brain?
Well, because at the time, I guess they thought that was the more humane thing to do.
By the way, Dr. Light totally deserved that bullet.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, because he broke
They're
in
still
and fucking
halfway stuck by their morals, halfway
right.
by not killing him. And technically, if you wiped somebody, although with him they also played with his brain.
Personality, they made him less of a threat.
They went a little too far, I think, there because it was beyond wiping. But they're still kind of giving a person a second chance to not be as much of a jackass, I guess. They're letting them still live, and for most people, it's probably like a really bad hangover. I don't know what the fuck I did over the weekend kind of deal. Like,
But here's the thing, you're not really giving him another chance to better because fundamentally, that's no longer him. The person who he was gets fucking eradicated, at least for a time, because of the fact of what you did to change his personality.
well, they changed the personality.
Right.
I
I
more
was gonna say that
disagreed on
plays
the
out in the
memories thing, but we like went past it and I didn't get to argue because y'all are assholes.
We can go back.
No, I see where you're getting at.
Double back. What do you think about, like, if you were just altering memories to make them forget?
Well,
Now,
Kinda said you agreed,
I personally, if somebody was already fucking with my family, like, I'm not a superhero, so I'd kill the shit out of them. But if I knew I wasn't gonna go to jail, I'd kill the shit out of them. But since we have magic and all this other shit, I think that then just plain memory erasure, no other fucking with their heads, is ethical.
now see, it depends on where you're coming from. If it's solely to protect your family and shit, like, I don't know, man. It seems like, I mean, it's a very noble reason, but at the same time, it's a very personal reason, and it's basically taking that into their own hands and saying that we have the moral authority, when it comes to protecting our families, to do whatever we want with people's heads. It's a little scary.
We're also talking about vigilante heroes that have already decided that they have the moral authority to fight bad guys.
Well, sure, but they also do so under a moral code that's consistent with the law for the most part, And in most cases, they directly work with the governments and world governments and shit. So
I think they're still standing by their morals by not killing the person.
Okay.
well, no, I agree with that.
Let's take a step back. Let's take a step back here for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we already talked about how the Justice League. Well, we should say members of the league, not the entire league, because it was always. I remember. I think in the book, Green Arrow says it was kind of implied that maybe Superman and Batman kind of knew what was going on, but they were never around long enough to know it was going on.
Right.
So I honestly, we'll get into that in a minute, but we absolutely know Batman would not be happy with what was going on. But the thing with, now we have to tell people why Dr. Light was messed with.
Yeah.
What did he do? I mean, he raped
Sue Dibney.
He raped Sue Dibney.
Yeah.
On the Watchtower.
Yeah.
And his personality at that time, like, most of the heroes know him as an idiot.
Not only his personality, but his power level.
Right. Exactly. His personality and his powers. He was a way more formidable villain at the time.
Yeah.
And, and he went up there, and Sue was... What did it say? She was only up there because she was bored, and at least up there she could see the stars.
Yeah, and she was waiting for Ralph.
Right. And then he shows up and brutally rapes her. Mm-hmm. And when they try to... It takes, the entire prey... Yeah, to take him down.
And at that point, he's not dumb, but he is sick.
Right.
Yeah.
In fact, one character even says, I've never seen anything like this outside of Arkham,
No, they said even in Arkham.
Even in Arkham? That's right.
That's how fucked up it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And remember also, when they finally, got him caught him under control.
Oh, he kept taunting.
He kept taunting and showed them what he did.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he said
he was going to keep doing it.
Yeah, he said,
the vote came in with if they stuck with just memory erasure.
Right.
Or if they fucked with his head more than that.
Yeah.
Right.
It was basically, as they said, there was the situation we got was a league within the league.
Yeah.
And you had basically on one side you had, you had Green Arrow, Green Lantern, and Hal Jordan, and Dinah. I can't. Who?
Black Canary.
Black Canary.
Right.
The other side you had Hawkman, Zatanna.
Barry.
Well, I was getting to Barry. And the Atom. The ones on one side, like Zatanna, Hawkman, and the Atom, they had already lost people.
And Barry. He lost Iris just a few months before that in court. Right?
Arrow.
But
I'm getting to that.
Are you? Yeah. I don't know. It's just you kind of left him out of that.
I'm trying
there's a reason. I see where he's going with that.
Okay.
There's a reason for this.
All right.
So you have two sides. You got 3 votes each. Like, one's against, one's are for. And they asked Barry, what's it going to be? Because Barry is the deciding vote. Because Ralph and Sue are already gone, right? Because, of course, Ralph's going to go take care of his wife like any a good, normal human being man would do, And Barry, like Daryl said, Barry's wife had died like 6 months before that, and so thinking about that,
wasn't she killed by a villain too?
yeah, she was also killed by a villain. So he was, so he went along with it.
It was Zoom.
It was Zoom, yeah. So he went along with it
At their wedding.
And see, I think that's one thing that got him too. Wasn't there? Didn't he make a comment? Didn't Dr. Light make a comment like, "I can see a ring under your costume"?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So he's and shit like that. So of course that's kind of pushing him. And the three that were against. I mean, I could see the three who were against like doing that. I could see it because Ollie's a very liberal person. I mean, I'm not talking about like the the bad connotation liberal. I'm talking about liberal as in every man should be free and be able to you help the little guy, that kind of thing. You don't mess with people if you don't have to. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
Like fundamentally altering them to suit your needs or whatever. Hal, I could definitely see Hal because it's Hal. Hal's he's of that same mentality. Dinah, I don't know if she was just going along with it. I feel she'd be the same way. But the other three, they had all of the four because now Barry, they had lost somebody. So it put a different connotation on it for them.
Very emotionally charged decision.
Like at this point in time, wasn't Hawk Girl dead?
Hawk Girl had died. I think
Zatara.
Zatara had died.
Zatanna lost her
father. Yeah.
Father. Yeah.
Yeah. Zatara had died, and I forgot who Adam lost, but it wasn't his wife, obviously, because that'll come up later. But yeah, that was and I like I said, I could see their motivation. I understand why they went along with that. But as you can see, when they're trying to track down Dr. Light because they think that they think that because there's two Dr. Lights, people don't know.
Yeah.
They think that he was responsible for Sue's death. They think maybe he remembered, and then he went after her. That was the whole thought behind it.
And she was partially burned, so
yeah, because she was partially burned, so it fit. It kind of fit the crime, kind of thing. And by the way, there's one little thing I got to mention. Don't you like the fact that Oracle, was telling people what happened, and then when Ollie shows up, there was already a note from Batman. It said, crime scene's done. Don't touch anything.
And of course, the first thing he does when he gets in there is bring in a team to fucking meticulously fucking search the place. And
yeah, but all through angles Batman normally wouldn't have access to.
Well, yeah.
I mean, Mr. Terrific is literally Reed Richards.
Yeah.
And Dr. Fate is Dr. fucking Fate.
Yeah. And then the Metal Men, I mean, they're going to find something, like, as far as metallics and things like that, you wouldn't, even Batman couldn't see.
Well, they're living scientific tools.
Yeah. Right. And of course, Adam is just, he can literally look at stuff on the subatomic, so.
Right. And of course, adding to the mystery is, there were all these protections set up, like Thanagarian technology and all that stuff.
Mr. Miracle.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Basically, they had they had ADT on steroids.
Right.
And
from every possible angle.
And there was no forced entry and all that shit. No signs of teleportation or anything like that.
No mystical interference. Yeah.
Right. So
because there's magical wards and all that stuff. And by the way, if you notice, if you look at you're looking at the story, when they start finding out what happened to Sue, they give you get a hint on when Adam is talking to Ray is talking to his ex-wife.
Right.
They give you a hint of how it happened, but you don't find that out till later.
Right. Yeah, it only becomes obvious in retrospect.
Yeah, exactly. They give you. I mean, yeah, that's what I kind of like about it. They give you when you go back, it's like, wow, they were dropping hints left and right.
Well, yeah, and shit, and it's just I don't know, man. The whole thing, it was well written in that respect. Like it dropped those little things and gave you little moral quandaries to work out. Because within the framework of grief, even is it okay to do that?
Right.
And stuff like that. So they give you a lot to think about without preaching to you, too, which is great. But yeah, that's the sign of a great story when they can leave those little hints and they only become obvious in retrospect.
Right.
Yeah. And so resume. You're doing a great job, by the way.
Doing my best. After they,
I will fully admit this is a test run for Wayne. Not foreshadowing anything, I swear.
So, after they, done, run tests on this crime scene and stuff, then we get to the funeral, which, by the way, everybody shows up in costume.
Right.
Because this is Ralph was one of the public people knew who Ralph Dibny was. They knew he was the elongated man, so they knew who his wife was. So, at that point, what's the point of us trying to go into secret identity? Everybody, you're better off not going. Like Clark Kent showing up at this guy's thing. If he wasn't doing as a reporter, it wouldn't make sense.
Right.
It's going to be process of elimination. They're going to figure out who's who.
Yeah, I was going to say,
exactly.
Doesn't Ollie actually say something about that in his little
See, I'm trying to read here. I'm kind of looking through it even.
I'm still reading the damn thing.
But he does mention something about why they, most people show up in costume, and what did he say? Let's see.
Oh, they said that if they showed up in suits, normal suits or whatever, there'd be even more paparazzi.
Well, not just that, but even if Satana and Dr. Fate wiped the film,
someone would eventually get a look, memorize a face.
Yeah.
And tomorrow's morning, the rest of our families would have bullets in their heads.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that part too.
I hope y'all ain't hearing that.
Yeah, a little bit.
I apologize.
No worries.
One of my fire alarms is going off. I'll fix it later.
Needs batteries.
Burning, who gives a shit?
Seriously.
If it was houses burning, they would all be going off. So
These first couple issues fuck my shit up, especially when Ralph just literally falls apart at the
that was
funeral.
when Rags was there's some stuff in the hardcover where he talks about like that, and he said that was one of the things he wanted to do is he literally just couldn't hold his shape. He was so distraught.
Right.
That was sad.
He literally couldn't hold it together, and that's. And just that fight, was it one of the final panels in the first issue with the pregnancy test?
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is Ralph's a detective, and and every year his wife would try to surprise him, and
he'd always figure it out.
Right,
yeah.
And it was like a tradition to hold his birthday on different times of the year, just to surprise him and shit. And he'd like Wayne said, he'd always figure it out. And this year, he had deduced what she got him for his birthday, but she was going to throw him for a loop by putting that pregnancy test in there, too. And
I will be right back. Now I have to deal with it.
Damn.
Yeah. Despite being a detective, he couldn't figure out his wife was fucking pregnant.
Right.
Well, he's not exactly
so
Batman,
good.
so
He was
let's
so
cut him some slack.
good at figuring out all that other subtle crap, but he couldn't figure
he's
out
pretty
why
much
he
on
picked
par with Batman, if not a little better in
Right?
some respects.
I was just trying to make a fucking joke.
He should have known that she was pregnant before she knew she was pregnant.
You smell funny. You're pregnant.
Yeah. My nose
I
is
knocked
twitching.
your ass up.
My nose is twitching. But yeah. Fucking. All right. So where did Wayne leave us?
Well, since he's gone for the moment, that did remind me of something I wanted to go
Jeez,
back
sorry
to
about
real
that.
quick about the ethicality of mind wiping and stuff.
Yeah.
So if we want to talk about, okay, we got this villain like Dr. Light. He just says, "Fuck it, when I get out, or I'm eventually gonna find this cunt. I'm gonna fucking do it again."
Right.
Yeah.
I understand to a degree wanting to wipe his mind because you want to control, you want to keep him as little as a threat as you possibly can.
Sure.
But that immediately creates that slippery slope. Because as soon as Batman finds out, they're like, well, shit, we got to do something about him too. And that's the main issue.
Yeah, right.
The idea of mind wiping is because where do you fucking stop? Because as soon as you say, well, we can do it because this guy's bad and he's gonna harm some people. But Batman wasn't gonna harm nobody. Well, he might have harmed some people because they were fucking mind wiping a motherfucker.
Oh, he was pissed. Yeah.
He came at them in fucking rage.
Right.
But at the same time, immediately they're like, well, we got to do something about it.
Gotta do it too.
And
Right.
then, see, and that's like the
Makes
slippery
for
slope
really
that I
good
never fucking
storytelling,
liked.
though.
What's that?
But that's my favorite part about good storytelling is when you have to question your own stance and stuff like that too.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, I get memory wipe, but messing around past that, no.
Yeah, and that was my thing. Like, I get wanting to protect their families and shit like that, but when it came to altering his personality to make him less of a threat and shit like that, I mean, when you present that monster to the authorities, I mean, I feel like they're gonna put him down like Old Yeller, or whatever. Like, basically, it's like saying to me, like, oh, the DC universe has no fucking effective means of dealing with its criminals and shit. And they even kind of say that at one point in this book, and it just struck me as being a little. It felt like a plot contrivance. Like, we need to explain why we had to do this.
A narrative necessity. That's
right.
Yeah. It feels kind of
Right. That felt a little iffy to me, because it's like you're basically saying that without the Justice League, the world would fall into chaos because nobody could ever contain these villains and shit. And I get that the villain has to break out of jail to continue being a villain and shit like that. That's comic books for you. But at the same time, it just felt cheap, and it was like they were saying, if we didn't do this, there was no way to stop the inevitable. Dr. Light was going to come back, and we couldn't take any safeguards or any measures but this one. And that just kind of rang a little hollow to me, you know what I mean? Like,
and you know what it kind of reminds me of is, like, in specifically, like, Marvel, I remember them saying, like, when Banshee died, fucking Siren was like, oh, he'll come back eventually.
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of a hollow theme now.
Right.
Well, I think I'm back, by the way.
Hey, welcome back.
I yanked it off the ceiling.
Warn the motherfucker next.
Yeah.
As you do.
Like the voice of Morgan Freeman just descending down from.
What I was going to say is, I think what it was trying to serve is like, in the background, this shit was going on since we started. Basically, since time immemorial as far as superheroes go. They kind of figured out early on that shit ain't gonna be savvy if these folks get out and start know who we are and stuff, because nobody's safe. You know what I mean? So
and who is he? That is true. That is a thing I didn't consider. Like, he knows this shit. Who else is he gonna tell?
Right.
And that's, again, like, I can kind of see the mind wipe. It was the personality shit that I thought, like I said, like, the mind wipe made sense, but to alter his personality because you don't, to me it was like the League saying, we know we can't defend Sue from this if it should happen again. No. You know what I mean? And that just felt a little.
Hold up a sec. I want to break something here.
Oh shit! I just got to a good part. Okay. I just got to the Batman part.
We all gotta admit, straight up right here, mind wipes never last in comics anyway.
Right.
Oh no.
I mean, this comic itself is a fucking proof positive of that.
And also,
even if this could have been like the one time, it wasn't.
And also, as proven with Batman, I think the more intelligent you are, especially at deducing things, the quicker
you're going to notice that holes. Yeah. You're going to notice the holes, and you're going to notice the inconsistencies, and you're going to start asking questions.
Now, knowing that, and let's be honest, the League should have known that.
And and I could give you, I'll tell you about a time story.
They already knew ahead of time, because they were acting like the reason they wanted to change his personality was because it's not going to last forever.
Well, but this was also an emotionally charged moment where Sue Dibney had just been raped.
Now, that said...
And a lot of these people had lost loved ones. So rationality wasn't necessarily in play.
Now, that all said, my take, I'd have fucking pulled one of Ollie's arrows and put it through his skull.
Right.
That's the only way to make sure that motherfucker ain't gonna do it.
Well, not just that. At that point, I don't view him as a man.
Oh no, he's an animal at that point. He's a rabid dog that needs to be put down.
And that is an example of superheroes being hamstrung by their morality, I think.
And I feel that superheroes, the whole don't kill thing, I think any rational superhero would have a limit on that.
Yeah, but at the same, assuming rationality,
but that doesn't sell books.
Not only that, but when you cross that line, where do you stop?
Yeah, I was going to say the problem is, too, when you're in the public eye all the time, you're already a vigilante in the public eye all the time.
Right.
And you're super powered. So the second you kill somebody, even if it's a bad guy, the first thing that's going to happen is the world goes nuts with, well, what's going to stop them from killing again?
Right, or what's going to stop them from coming after us? Mm-hmm. You know?
Exactly.
The moral event horizon.
It's kind of why they have to stick to those morals whether they want to
It's
or
a forced
not.
morality in a way, yeah. Yeah, I can see
Just
that.
like real life, a simple rule applies here. It's only a crime if you get caught.
Yeah. Well, and that is true.
But let's talk about another little trigger point that happens.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. It's when they finally get to Dr. Light. You know, this team with, by the way, who now includes Wally West and
Kyle Rayner, because they're kind of the stand-ins at this point, and they're getting told the young guys are getting this shit laid on them. It's like, dude, what? Yeah. Yeah.
Our predecessors did what?
Yeah.
Right.
But I think I like the fact how bold Wally is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wally's just like he has no fucks to give.
Wally,
He's like, tell me
Wally
what's going on.
questions. Wally,
Yeah.
He tells like, tell me what's going on. It's like, it doesn't concern you. He said, all right, I'll just go tell Clark. Or
Yeah,
Bruce.
do you want me to turn him in right now? Turn you all in right now?
Yeah, you want me to go tell Clark or Bruce? I mean,
And I can't believe that Clark wouldn't have heard that.
But you see,
Because
there's another moment later on where it's like fucking Ollie says that Clark hears what he wants to hear.
Oh, true that.
Yeah,
they
Clark,
did cover their
somebody
ass
who
on
can
that.
hear everything only hears what they want to hear.
Right.
So,
Well, that does kind of get rid or deal with the inconsistency of him hearing his ma whisper at him from miles away.
oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Wally acquitted himself really admirably there, I think.
That was, I had to backtrack a bit. That was a little moment too, like early on, when all the lead up to it, for Sue being murdered.
Right.
When everybody was like, talking and stuff like that, and then Martha says to Clark, he says, but talking about like buying. He said, I can give you I can actually give you a paper, right?
I can comp you a subscription.
And he says, and she goes, I bet Batman never does this to his parents. And he's
then there's just like 3 or 4 petals of silence.
And like Batman's just like,
Superman's like,
Superman's literally,
I like that part.
and he's like, yeah, I'll take this in for you.
to pull a cab on this one, he's literally like, damn dog. Okay, so fast forward, we're back to they track down Dr. Light, they know where he's at, and they're talking outside the thing, then they kind of explaining what they did to him. I mean, even Ralph did, and Ralph's like pissed off too about it. Let's be honest. He's just like, what the fuck? Y'all didn't tell me this shit.
Right.
And I think like one of the things that gets me, like, I think it was Kyle who says, hasn't Dr. Light always kind of been? And he went, and then Ollie goes, a moron? Well,
yeah. Well, let me tell you a story.
Well, and legit, in the publishing history of DC, Dr. Light used to be a Justice League level villain.
Mm-hmm. And then
for some reason
became a Titans villain.
Yeah, in the 80s.
Yeah.
They dumbed him down.
And then
kind of the opposite of the Joker in a way, where he went from a clown to a serious menace.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Which is what I think is right, kind of interesting. Is how how Brad, how Meltzer just like put that in there and like used it. You know what I mean? It was like really, it was really good to use that as and in other stories, it's kind of explained that basically the league just gave them Light because hey, he's good for training. That's literally what they say.
Yeah.
They say he's good. He's a good to be trainer villain is what they called him.
Jesus.
Because he was so stupid at that point, he was like didn't have obviously he was powered down.
He was also a very bumbling fool, and his
his
plots were
he went from trying to like literally like destroy the earth to like just robbing banks, shit like that. It's like he essentially became a C-list villain.
Right.
They kind of Silver Aged him.
Yeah.
He's like, haha, I'm gonna rob this bank, haha.
Yeah.
See, that's why when I watched when reading this. I'm looking at publication. Go through gotta go through the beginning, boys. Let's look here. All right, what we got here? That's who wrote it. Probably in the back. Oh, here we go. Because this was Didio, so it was 2004. So this tells you how long ago this was. This is a while back, you know. This is also the time when Teen Titans, the TV show, came out. Mm-hmm. And they used Dr. Light as a villain. I mean, he was like basically like this. He was a joke, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm thinking to myself, I'm offended by this. I'm like actually offended that they're putting this piece of shit in this children's show.
Right. And that's the thing, man. Like, and again, like this book is the first part of a much larger tale with ramifications that extend far past this, but you get inklings. I mean, not only does Light remember what happened to him, but part of that, you can tell that fucking sinister version of himself is coming back to the surface, and he's planning and plotting and shit. And I was like, oh yeah. And then fucking page 200 and whatever, and it's like, oh. I was waiting for the payoff on that one.
Oh, the payoff comes after that, but
right.
And we get to the fight scene.
Yes.
With Deathstroke?
Yes. Also, okay, so explain
That
what
was
happened.
nice.
Yeah.
Explain what happened. They track down Dr. Light. They're going in after him, and Dr. Light, you know, he's still a bumbling idiot at this point. He knows the League's after him because he, not just them, but you know the League in general, because of his power set. Right? It has nothing to do with like he just thinks the League's after him because of his power set. Right? He's like, oh, yeah, you know, he's somebody who could actually do this. So he comes up to the former. Was it the old watchtower that the villains basically use now? Mm-hmm. You know, they use it to like get jobs and stuff. Because at this point, this is finally when it's established that Calculator is basically the bad guy's oracle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, he sets them up on jobs, gives them info, intel, and things like that.
Straight up refer to him as such. You know, he's like Oracle without the morals. You know.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. And you know. One of the people, and of course, people are like, you know, they're chilling out doing some, you know, doing villain stuff. I mean, it's funny to just see villains just chilling, you know, just like, you know, whatever, waiting for the next job, fam, you know, get us some coffee, let's wait, you know.
Yeah. Early, where'd you get that coffee?
What I like about it is that it gives them some. What we always thought, are villains just like they just don't hang out or they don't do anything? You know, they're just like always plotting the next thing. No, they actually do.
Even though you wouldn't expect.
And I love this panel with Shadow Thief, and he talks to him. He goes, maybe it's a symbiote. And he's like, no, he's just addicted. And he goes, you know, he's mumbling to himself, and he goes, I agree, red and blue are worse. like he's you know, like a little dig at Spider-Man and shit, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It was kind of neat.
and I like how they made like fucking Captain Boomerang a fat ass.
Yeah.
And we'll get to Captain Boomerang too in a minute.
Yeah.
But no, and you know, like I said, they're all hanging out, and like, you know, Dr. Light comes up in there and he says, "Somebody help me! I have money." And they said it took them like 30 seconds to find somebody's price point.
Yeah.
And shit.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I had beeping going on a minute ago, so don't worry about it. I mean, coughing's fine compared to beep, beep, you know. So.
It takes him 2 minutes to find his price range.
Yeah, 2 minutes to find his price range and everything. So Lee goes in, you know, fucking Ralph's ready to go. He's going to go in there and bust shit, right? So he rolls up in there. He gets blown the fuck up. Like, really. Doesn't die or anything. He just gets blown up because it's hard. I think it's really hard to kill a plastic, you know, man made of, like, plastic shit. Right. Anyway.
Well, he's not plastic, man.
Rubber man.
It's not plastic, man.
He's not plastic. But he still looked like a deflated, wacky, inflatable balloon man, so that was just kind of laid there all deflated the whole time.
And then out steps Deathstroke.
And fucking Dr. Light looking smug as shit.
Yeah, and like, one of the coolest fucking fight scenes.
I love it and hate it at the same time. You know why?
Huh.
Because that was like, they put a power on Deathstroke that he does not have.
Oh?
He does not use 90% of his fucking brain.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the whole 10% thing is already bullshit. So
I know. Right. That was just like, you know, whole like, I said, if he was literally using his 90% of his brain for strategy and shit, like, he would be a mumbling retard.
I was going to say, if he's only using 90%, then he's slower than the rest of them.
Right.
He'd be Silver Age Hector Hammond.
I just thought that meant not that he was literally. I mean, I took it as figurative, like he's a master tactician.
There was a
The problem was they were playing on that bullshit myth
Right.
that's been disproven, and that fucks a lot of it up when you already know that that's bullshit.
Right.
But
Basically,
as far as
your
the
pedantic shit, you'll be like, he uses 90% of his brain, not a retard. Fucking 0 out of 10. This comic fucking sucks.
well, that's
the-
why-
But as
but you can have the nuance in it,
comics
you know?
grow
Right.
and
But-
their fandom grows, the comic book logic works less and less. They have to
Yeah.
start actually putting real science in there.
But let's
Yeah.
just talk about how cool it was that he was
Yeah.
so far ahead of these guys.
Yeah, that was so
Oh
cool.
yeah. It was,
that he was
honestly,
anticipating their every move. You know,
honestly top 10 fucking comic book fights. Period.
right?
Yeah. The fact that he took down how many that many members of the league.
Right.
I think the one that got me was fucking what he did to Wally. All because, and it was just for any reason because he knew him.
Mm-hmm.
And because he said, because remember he said new costume, same old mistakes. He remembers when he was Kid Flash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he knows Deathstroke's one of those who actually knows who some of these people are.
Right.
Because he's at one point he's he of course he's hunting them down. He's tried to kill them. He's actually worked with them at some points. So
That's a cool ass villain. He's a villain I like a lot.
I like
Fucking
Deathstroke.
cool.
He's-
I just love when he takes down Ray with a fucking laser pointer. Ray and
That was
Hawkman.
that was fucking boss, and he fucking took out Zatanna just by making sure she couldn't speak.
And wasn't he trying to exert will over fucking Kyle's ring? Too?
Yeah, that's what he said, testing a theory.
Right.
Yeah.
But he didn't get the chance to because he got shanked in the eye.
Yeah,
Or, well, the eye socket
that
anyway.
was just Ollie, being practical.
Yeah.
And he took down Hawkman like it was nothing too. It was like,
But that was the great thing, though, is it took Ollie, slipping in a fucking opportune attack to basically set Slade off his game and shit, and open him up for more. And if not for that lucky break, he would have decimated him.
I kind of feel like if all of them had gone at him at the exact same time to begin with, it would have been a different fight. But
Could have been, but
yeah.
I mean, remember how hard it was for them to take down fucking Dr. Light, and then imagine this guy, being so much, smarter and more capable.
That's the thing. You say if he could take them all on at once. He had the situation so under control that it was a literal impossibility.
Right.
Yeah.
The
only thing
that's true.
there's
I
only
couldn't figure out how much was pacing because panels and how much was the pacing of the story.
Right.
100% Deathstroke.
And that's the thing. I mean, we're talking about a guy who, again, took down the Atom and Hawkman in one fell swoop. You know
and
what
a
I'm saying?
lantern and a speedster.
Well,
and
just in that sense, it was very literally, I'm going to use this guy to knock the fuck out of the other guy.
Right, yeah.
So,
I kind
so
of
he
want to
was
know how
that
the
far ahead of them.
speedsters didn't instantly die from that.
But they have
regenerative
enhanced healing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
As soon as he
Powers
pulled the
and
sword
shit.
out, he was already healing.
But as Dr. Light watches the League trying to take down Deathstroke, they've got him, pinned down and shit. That triggers a memory.
That's where mind wiping doesn't always work. Here we
Right.
go.
Yeah. Yeah, that ends with "You took my mind."
But the situation here is just going to explain.
Yeah.
If now like I said, Deathstroke was really good at doing what he did. But honestly, if this happened and Superman was there, this would have been a moot point.
Right?
This is kind of like they explained. It's like there's a reason why sometimes they don't put the heavy hitter in the front. Because it will not end. And plus, remember they're off the grid at this point too. So
Right.
they're trying not to draw attention. So.
And in that respect, it was well accounted for because, a lot of these comics usually leave you with the question, well, this is happening, for example, on the Marvel side, this is happening in New York where the Avengers are there and shit.
Yeah, and I would.
Why aren't they there? But
I would even go to say even if Batman was there because it would be strategy versus strategy,
Right.
because Batman's not stupid. He wouldn't just rush headlong again into a fight with,
Right.
with Deathstroke,
And,
so.
right. Isn't he a tactician on par with Deathstroke?
They're both,
in a lot of ways?
their fights are amazing, honestly,
Yeah.
because
because it's both.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say because it's both really good tacticians and also physically they're both trained pretty well.
Right.
Their fights are really cool.
But
Although I do love watching him beat up on Robin a lot.
Yeah.
Like one of the cool
Never
like,
get tired of that.
One of the cool panels I like here is like you show Dr. Light over here. He's like, oh no, he's still at this point. He's still like meek little Dr. Light, you know.
Yeah.
And then he starts remembering. He's like, I remember. And then I think not just what he said, but if you look at his eyes and you see a spark.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like he just realized the full extent of his powers again, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The spark literally
That
and
a little bit of
figuratively went off.
motherfucker, I was gonna go get laid. No.
But before we get too far off from it, I did want to say though that this story does do a really damn fine job of giving you plausible reasons for why certain inconsistencies or certain things that would be inconsistencies in other comics aren't here, like the fact that these guys splintered off because they are the people who were involved with wiping Light's minds, in the first place and shit, And
I haven't quite got to the end, but there's an explanation. Is there an explanation as to why her autopsy took weeks? Like, holy fuck, how long are you going to be in there with that thing?
There's a reason why, because, you'll see at the end.
right.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not at the end yet, so.
By the way, before we go further, I need to fix an error earlier. We were listing off people who had just lost people. We said Zatanna just lost her father. It was her mother.
Right.
Oh, it was her mother. Okay.
And Black Canary had just lost Lawrence, her original husband. Their father, sorry.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
Fucking Silver Age retcons.
That's where the lines got crossed, I think. Yeah.
But even still, she was still on the side of no,
Wait, that's her. What's her name? Dinah Lance.
Dinah Lance, yeah. She was.
Okay.
So
her father.
So fucking. So next panel, Dr. Light goes Super Saiyan apparently. And,
yeah.
I mean, just in a display of power, knocks everybody out.
Right.
And let's be honest, guys. Okay, let's say y'all are in the league, right? Y'all just did something. Y'all just did some shit off the books. Nobody knows what's going on. Is the first thing you want to see is a big red S.
Yeah.
Right?
Can we not? Can we literally do just the opposite of that thing right there?
They do manage to bullshit Superman, though.
The only reason
she's.
Yeah, but the only reason was because it was Barry. The only reason was because Barry.
Wally.
Wally, yes. Yeah. So the only reason was because of Wally. He trusts Wally.
Right. And Wally did fucking stand up for him, He didn't turn him into his... what?
The whole thing is, all the exposition fucking Ollie gives Wally is within quote-unquote earshot of Superman.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was saying earlier.
He's just selectively filtering it.
Well, that's kind of what Ollie says. Clark's really good at hearing what he wants to hear,
Yeah.
And at the time, he is engaged with the other members of the team and shit. He's over there off to the side of the panel talking to them. So it could be, I don't know.
And of course, this is exactly when they explain everything that happened with, the
first incident.
The secret society. And
dude, the confirmed mind wipes are insane.
Yeah.
Zoom, fucking Floronic Man.
It's even implied.
Sapphire.
The thing is, they never say it straight up, but it's implied they did it to the Joker.
Yeah.
Now that's the thing. When did they do it? Because Batman usually keeps that shit on lock.
Yeah. And that is kind of weird though. Batman was involved in that.
Yeah. So
did they wipe his mind then too?
Felix Faust.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Using the mysticism to find out who is who,
Right. Oh, it's fucked up. But yeah,
I think one of the most good scenes in that, in this little thing is fucking Ollie punching Carter in the face.
Yeah.
And Carter just being man enough to not throw one back because he decapitated Ollie.
Now, I think we joke about Hawkman. He's just a guy that flies. No, Hawkman is a fucking beast.
No, I wanted
badass.
to ask you guys for some clarification here, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so my interpretation of that by the end was that Ollie didn't just kind of object to the whole personality change, but also the wiping of Bruce's mind.
Yeah.
Was that what the punch was about?
You find out later on. That's when you find out. That's when the punch happened.
Right.
it was basically like if we hadn't done this, we wouldn't have to do this.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. That's how I.
Essentially, we talked about like we were messing around earlier and we talked about the death spiral of the ants.
Right.
This is the death spiral. We're in a death spiral now. Now we can't go back.
Yeah, you've
I
tipped
really
the domino,
like
and
that
now
for
the whole
this,
fucking thing's falling.
For this whole thing, Wally is really representing the audience a lot too.
Yeah.
In the whole,
In a sense,
what
he's a surrogate.
the fuck? You did what? That's kind of the reader because he's getting a lot of information the reader needs.
Right.
And reacting to it in ways that a lot of readers would do, like, you did what?
Yeah.
Now-
But what?
You know what, Wayne? You might feel me on this one. You know what really gets me about Carter being like to wipe their minds? Wouldn't Carter just be like, "Fuck that! I got a club. They've got a skull."
I would be honest with you. When the first time they did it, that was probably his idea to
Right?
just cave their skulls in and be done with it, right? But
Dude, I'm reading this, or I'm going through it again, just as we're talking, and I love how it's implied that this happened dozens of times.
and Piper just hit the part.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I heard that. Piper just hit the part.
But I just love how Zatanna's there, forget Clark Kent and stuff like that, implying that they've done this, had to do this many a time.
I'm just gonna flat out tell you this episode's gonna be running wicked fucking long.
Oh yeah, it's going to because this.
I had a feeling
Yeah, I'm
it would.
still fucking reading it.
Yeah.
No, dude. We've
So I'm
also
trying to
just
talk to
hit
y'all
the
about
hour
the past part.
Oh, wow.
While I'm reading while y'all are having discussion,
Right.
and then putting my 2 cents in about past parts that I just read, because at least they're fresh in my head. But holy
All right, so
fuck!
You guys continue. I'll be right back.
All right. Let's get to the next. Be honest, killing.
Yeah. So essentially, they kind of touch on some things where they show, but basically, you've talked about Boomerang earlier. He's basically desperate for a job.
I was gonna say, are y'all at Boomerang now, right?
Yeah, we're talking about
Okay.
Boomerang because he's basically found out he does have a son.
Yeah.
I want to say he's kind of doing it out of maybe I need to take care of this kid,
Yeah.
and the only way I know to do that is to be Captain Boomerang,
Yeah.
So he's telling calculator, say, can you give me a job? And then he calculator's like, if something comes up, I'll, do that. Then we show a little thing, hey, foreshadowing the fuck out of this. Showing like Tim Drake, who is, Robin at this point, getting home and, he's already, he's been fighting crime, got a little busted up. And Jack, his father, knows he's Robin, right? But
Yeah.
after all that's happened, he doesn't really like him being Robin, because of what's been going on, like people getting killed and shit, that kind of brings it home, Shit. And so that kind of, and like I said, that leads to, well, let's talk about the quote unquote, the attempted murder.
Yeah. Is that where we're at? The attempted murder?
The quote attempted murder, which now, since now Piper's gotten that part, she's like, oh bullshit.
Right. Well, I'm trying to keep it under wraps for now, so that we can go through this in order. But god damn it, that was out of left field. Holy fuck.
Yeah. So that basically the issue ends with fucking Gene Loring being hung
By a doorknob.
by a doorknob. Yeah. Well, on the other side of the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, over there. So she's being hung, and it's like, holy shit. And it looks like she's fucking like dead at the end of it. And then,
Very dead looking.
by the way, nice cover for Wonder Woman on that one.
I was
issue
just
going
saying
into.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
nice. I liked that.
Michael Turner was always great at pinups.
Yes, and that is a great Wonder Woman.
I like it. It's very tasteful, so it doesn't look like it's trying to be.
It's not like trying to be cheesecake or anything like that. It's just like really, and that glowing lasso too. Just like
Turning into a noose. Oh.
yes.
Ooh.
That's fucking amazing. And so Gene. Just so happened Gene was on the. Was he on the phone with?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was on the phone with Ray Palmer, Adam.
Knowing Ray can ride the phone lines.
Yeah. So.
Oh fuck!
So Ray comes through the phone
Even more
line.
fucked up. Sorry.
it's
God
fine.
damn it.
Ray comes through the phone. By the way, cellular wave, not just a ground line. It was a cellular phone, and comes through it, and like he actually goes in. He shrinks down inside of the rope, and then fucking tears it apart from the inside, and saves Jean. Because she needed saving.
Yep. Totally.
So of course now I'm thinking they're all probably thinking, oh shit, we got a fucking serial killer on our hands, right?
Right?
Going around killing like
so emotional too. I'm pissed right now.
Calm yourself, woman.
God damn it.
We'll let you be pissed. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't need your permission. I'm already pissed.
Oh no, we'll let you vent that anger.
Okay.
We'll let you be pissed and put a microphone in front of you.
But yeah, no. So basically, after the attack on Jean, they come and check all the security systems, and it's like, wow, they got through it again. What the fuck, kind of thing, like what's going on here? And then, of course, this time they went straight to soups.
I just need to point out that one of the things that they said a few times when it came to their security systems was repeatedly, well, if it's a teleporter, there ain't shit we can do about a teleporter. That's scary shit right there.
Yeah.
And they said it repeatedly, like, we can't do nothing with a teleporter. I'm like, okay, that's when you.
I think at that point, it was after that point with Jean, they pretty much put anybody who could teleport on lock. Like, you know what I mean? They
flat out said they couldn't because they can teleport.
Like right here, Mr. Miracle, the fucking universe's greatest escape artist. Says,
Yeah.
Could be a teleporter, could be a phaser, could be someone who rides radio waves.
Yeah.
Could be anything, Oliver, even
It
with
is
the alarms,
very,
there are still 17 different ways to get in and out of
Yeah.
here.
And that's without a mother box. And anybody knows about a mother box? Got a mother box, you pretty much got free key to everything.
Yeah. It's earlier than that they actually mention that if it's a teleporter, they can't do anything about teleporters.
Well, they can.
Yeah. Well, they mentioned how many teleporters were still on the loose, but they were on the loose partially because it's hard to contain them because they're teleporters.
You pretty much have to keep them sedated.
Yeah.
And like I said, this time but this time, since now it's looking like it could be an actual serial killer, they bring in the big dog, and
It threw me off that it was a completely different looking person at that point.
Yep.
But this whole entry and exit, not tripping anything, and all that good shit.
Yeah.
At least was the same.
It was pulling you one way, and then it just when you think it was just when you think they're going to zag, you zigged.
Right. This has been an interesting read. It's messed with me a lot.
Before we started recording.
Oh,
right? I'm still reading it. But I'm multitasking. We're good.
So yeah, like I said, they said they're going to very tight, bringing the big dog. He tells them that they used the bowline knot, and it's like, how do you know it's a fucking bowline knot? And he said, it's Boy Scout knot.
Boy Scouts.
I like Oliver's reaction. He says, I love and hate him at the very same time.
Well, I just like that they had freaking all the renowned detectives for one.
And then fucking Superman's like, hey guys,
Superman is usually viewed as one of those punch it and Batman can do the detective shit kind of person. So to have him come in and say something that feels so very obvious after he does it, like.
And dude, shout out to fucking Animal Man making that list of heavy hitters for the crime scene.
Oh yeah.
For Animal Man.
Animal Man set up all the crime scene people, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so basically, they say, so now we cross-reference bowline knots, right? And who does that? And so Oracle comes up with a name. By the way,
oddly enough, it was very fucking very heavy fucking early 2000s Slipknot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I still think it's really weird to like. There's more people that know how to do that. Not like.
who knew a band from Iowa was capable of
I was waiting for that, man.
You know, in the back of my mind, I was like, this motherfucker's gonna make a fucking the band joke.
Right. Yeah.
If he wasn't, I was going to because it was the first thing that popped in my head when they said Slipknot, and I'm like, God damn it!
Yeah. But to be fair, though, they even kind of
my brain
address.
is that way.
They even kind of address that, though. This is a villain with an MO for tying that kind of knot, you know.
Yep.
But at the same time, at this point in time, Slipknot was like a nobody.
He was also like a
villain or the.
Well, he was also
The band was huge.
yeah. Well, he was also part of the Suicide Squad, so
Right.
He had an arm blown off.
yeah,
Right.
Because they make a point that like he's serving 5 to 10 for shoplifting.
Right.
And it's like, it's like, why did he get 10 years for shoplifting? He's like, well, that's the Suicide Squad, you know?
Right. And actually, in retrospect, I think that whole, his arm got blown off thing was kind of another little hint in context that it couldn't have been him.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, okay, maybe he could tie that knot one-handed, but how is he hanging a fucking fully grown woman, with just one fucking... Yeah.
And I like how he just like, he goes to prison and he joins the cult of Cobra, which is kind of pretty.
Yeah. And I love that, though.
I can take that part seriously. God damn it.
Yeah. We used the lasso for an hour, and he wouldn't stop talking, and we kind of wished he would by the end.
That's another thing I liked about this is like, at this point, they're pulling out the heavy hitters. They already got Superman, and now they're bringing in Wonder Woman,
Right.
I like that. I like that thing too. It says she can pull you through those bars, even though you don't fit. Oh, and by the way, next panel, just hey, Clark, I'm checking in. What's going on? You find out anything? And he's just there, holding up a tractor, helping his dad.
I like that he's there in Superman garb in the next panel. Nobody else has moved yet.
He puts the thing down. He's like, okay, I'm here. He's like, oh.
Listening to the sounds of silence.
Well, I'm just kind of flipping,
Yeah.
Well, no. Then there's some tender bonding moments between Captain Boomerang and Little Boomerang, and
they keep showing they say, oh, why do you keep showing these villains in here? They've literally done nothing wrong, and then you'll find out later.
Bruce and Alfred going over shit,
This is like the first time you really see Batman too.
Yeah.
He's been down in the Batcave the entire time, trying to figure this shit out.
And he was the one who asked the question that everybody should have been asking. Who benefits?
Right. Yeah. Right. Who benefits from a fucking
Killing Sue
loved one's
Dibney,
death?
from trying to quote kill Gene Loring. And I'm gonna.
Right.
Okay, can we just skip ahead a little bit to another good scene?
Oh yeah, we're getting there. Talking about the meeting.
Get there. Yeah,
about the meeting. Okay.
Get to that.
So Ollie's at his wit's end, so he has to ask. He's asking help from the afterlife at this point.
Yeah.
And he goes to the Spectre. Who is the Spectre at this point, Jason?
Hal Jordan.
Yep. This is before Rebirth, so he hadn't come back to life yet.
And that was wasn't that his fate after the whole Parallax thing?
Yep.
Yeah,
Parallax,
okay.
basically because when he reignited the sun and everything, they gave him a chance, and his chance was to be the spirit of vengeance. So, because I think at that point, didn't Corrigan lost the got separated from the Spectre?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ollie has a nice conversation with Hal.
Yeah, because he's basically said, "Can you tell me what happened?" And
you know who did it, right?
Yeah, he does, and he said, "I can't tell you," kind of thing.
Right, but bring him down. He's obviously rooting for him and shit, but he, in his role as the Spectre, he can't do that. He's got rules he's got to follow.
He mets out judgment at the end of the time, not at the beginning, essentially.
Right.
And then, of course, the best part, he says, so Hal, when are you coming back? He says, I don't understand. Yes. He says, yes, you do. We've been at this too long. When are you really coming back?
I'm working on it.
I like that.
Yeah. That smile on Hal's face, too.
Yeah.
That was great. Yeah. Lie, motherfucker.
And this is where things hit home, because look who they threatened at the very end. Look who this person threatened. Yeah. Okay, guys. Remember how I said, the last thing, if after you go off the radar and everything, and the last thing you want to do is see the big red S in front of you. Do you really want to be the guy or the person who threatened his wife?
Mm-hmm. Right.
I do know what is nice about this is there is oh my god, there was such a telling shit. Oh my god.
Like everything about this is like it's like once you go back and reread it and look back, you're like, oh fuck.
I know, I'm still reading and I'm like, fuck, how did I miss that? Well, no, it was something I was thinking about and it explains it. Like, I'm just gonna say, everybody got notes but Sue.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And then
and I thought that was weird while I was reading, because I was like, well, how come everybody else is now getting notes?
Right.
And then we showed the picture of, we show you the cover for the next issue. Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
God damn, that's a powerful cover.
And
dude, is this where we're leading up to that one death?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that scene with god, no,
Yeah.
I'll talk about it when we get there. It was tense as fuck. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So
holy fuck.
They think they got a lead on who might be doing this, and then they show up in the thing, and it's fucking Bullseye. Was it Merlin and was it Monocle?
Yeah, Monocle.
Yeah.
Deadshot.
Deadshot.
Dude.
Yeah.
But they show up, and they think, oh, we got to drop on this, stupid green arrow, and he's like, oh, wait, he didn't come along.
Right.
There's
And
Kyle.
and of course, I like that fucking, like we said earlier, Hawkman just like gets right to just beats the shit out of Monocle with his mace.
Yeah. He's like, his power is in his monocle. Hawkeye takes him out right away,
I like this little scene right here.
man.
I gotta say, it's like Merlin's quicker than I thought. This is Ollie's perspective.
Right.
He actually gets to his quiver, and then Merlin says, "What do you say, Robin Hood? Ready to shoot at each other, or are you scared to go back to the grave?" And then he says, "But no one's faster than Wally." And Wally like pulled all of his fucking arrows out and broke them, and broke the one that was in his hand. And it's you actually painted all the tips black.
I actually paint all the tips black.
And then Deadshot just being a nutcase.
Yeah, he's caught in one of Kyle's constructs.
Yep, and he just shoots himself.
Yeah, he's like, Kyle's like, the ricochets don't miss, man.
Yeah.
And so Deadshot basically shoots himself through the neck, which is what he wanted to do.
Yep, and then as he was getting away, nope.
Yeah, he chew his own leg off to get away. This is what one of them said.
I liked reading that part because I liked the thought pattern just in between panels.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I was like, okay, he's not that stupid.
Oh.
And I'm like, I was right. He's not that stupid.
Right.
That's still kind of stupid because he's still bleeding out the neck. But
he's that cravenly and that self-serving and shit.
What I find funny too is like because they said he'd gnaw off his own leg. Like you said, Daryl, he'd gnaw off his own leg if he thought he'd help him get away. And said that's why we saved the best for last.
Yeah.
And he runs right smack dab into Superman.
yeah.
Which is funny when you look at it because you see Superman's got him by the throat, and everybody think, most people think, oh, he's going to kill him. No, he's actually stopping the bleeding right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's Superman, and that's what he does.
Yep. Oh, shit. He could have cauterized that wound, too. On a fucking micro level.
So basically, the League all over the place is just going full interrogation mode. They're just cracking. They're bringing down everybody they can.
And some in some pretty brutal ways, too, man.
Yeah.
Like, the desperation is fucking thick in the air at this point. Oh,
yeah. I mean, you can see when they have each scene, those guys have had the shit beat out of them.
Yeah.
And then we get to, remember we were talking about Shade earlier.
Yep.
And we run into Shade and we lose another hero.
God, fucking Firestorm, huh?
Yep. Because people don't realize Firestorm is a living nuclear reactor.
Yeah.
And,
what happens when you pierce a nuclear reactor? Yeah.
Bad things.
I like how they managed to get that much drama in so few panels, too.
Yep.
Yeah, the more we're talking about this and the more I'm kind of glancing over it again, it's some powerful writing, and it's, I mean, like each panel taken on its own, you can kind of be forgiven if you thought this was kind of like, just another stock superhero story, but when taken on the whole, it's actually a pretty damn fine piece of writing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The writing, the art is great, and I like how where because Rags pulls his references from actors and stuff like that. So
right.
You can go back and looking, you can see oh, I see that detail, kind of thing.
Right.
It's I can see that person in that drawing.
Now in the first issue, I thought Rags' art was a little inconsistent.
Yeah, he kind of got the groove, better.
Right.
Well, see what I found inconsistent, and nothing against him. I knew what he was doing. He tried to reference too much.
Right.
He made X look too much like the reference.
Right.
For example, Starfire's reference stuff of Naomi Campbell, right? But he made her look in the first issue, made her look exactly like Naomi Campbell except orange.
Yeah.
But if you see in that page, just where he's pushing everybody, goes, she looks more like Starfire.
Exactly, and
you know what I mean. So
yeah, and
basically he took the reference and then now he started tweaking them and making them look more like they should. Thank you, Jason.
But yeah, it was good times, man. Yeah. Okay.
So we got to the next scene, which I'm now that Piper knows what she knows, she's like, "Oh, fuck this."
Yeah.
Fuck this shit, right? Yeah.
So Adam shows up at Jean's place. This is after she had been attempted murdered.
Yeah.
Using air quotes. And he's all like, hey, basically, hey, how's everything going, fam? She's like, yeah, it's cool. Hey, you want to do it? And he's like, all right.
Yeah. He's like, yeah. I'm down. I'm down to take a trip to the bone zone. Look, I've taken a trip to the microscopic zone. Let's hit the bone zone tonight, baby.
Exactly. Hey, nigga, you want to smash?
Let's go to the microscopic bone zone.
And Ray,
you're already there.
and Ray's like, I never want to hear that again.
No, didn't they do that in an issue of Avengers?
Yeah. Now, what's really interesting about that scene, because this scene kind of plays off the next scene in a way, because why is Adam, okay, he knows Jean's fine, right?
Yeah.
Why is he here, kind of thing? And you're thinking, now you're starting to get suspicious.
Misdirection.
Because while this is going on, fucking, Firestar's getting blown the fuck up.
Yeah, Ronnie Raymond is like, yeah, I'm gonna blow up, guys.
Yeah, he literally says, I'm gonna blow up.
Yep.
And the last thing he says, someone say goodbye to my dad for me. I'm like,
Fucking
whoa.
hell.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not crying. You're crying.
See, that's why I was surprised at how much drama and feels they could fit into so few panels.
Right.
And see, that's what is really cool. I say cool, but it's kind of the helplessness of the scene. You got Captain Marvel there.
Right.
Yeah.
There's only one person
like, get out of here.
Yeah. I mean, you got Captain Marvel there, and he knows there's nothing he can do.
Right.
And
yeah. And just the look on how Ronnie's face when he realizes that's it.
Yeah.
And the look on everybody's faces, I don't know the Wolverine looking chick.
Vixen.
Oh, that is Vixen?
Yeah, that's before her redesign.
Yeah, okay. Well, Vixen, that look of both,
Terror
and sadness.
Yeah.
All in one panel.
Yeah, even if you looked at you see Shining Knight down here, on the other panel.
Yeah.
He's looking up like, oh fuck,
Right.
Considering that was his sword.
Yeah, his sword is what basically killed.
And not only that, the sword got destroyed.
Yeah.
Shit.
He's like, damn. And wasn't that like a fucking gift from Merlin too?
Yup, magical sword, dude.
Yeah.
I couldn't get over
a minute, magical sword. Not that'll matter.
I just couldn't get over the fact that he looked like Dirk the Daring from fucking.
I think Shining Knight was pre Dirk the Daring. But,
oh, I'm positive you're right.
But still, it was there's definitely that whole
on the nose.
Yeah. Honestly, you see now I'm just imagining fucking Shining Knight just running along, going just falling through pitfalls and
or he gets bumped by something, turns into a pile of bones. Like that. Oh no! When his sword fucking melts, he turns into a pile of.
I can't unsee all of that.
You're right.
I thought I finally fixed that, and y'all ruined it again.
Guys, we're over almost an hour and a half.
That's okay, man.
7 issues.
Right. It's 7 issues, and I think this has been a goddamn good discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I've realized is
we haven't really strayed much either.
he wants to go through every microscopic fucking detail.
Well, I don't want to. I'm skipped over a few things.
Right. You know what? I don't mind this format. I like it.
Right. It's fine. But
I give you some shit.
I know. I deserve it. So basically, okay, we're going. Oh, here's Captain Boomerang again, hanging out with his son that he just found out he had. It's like all of a sudden we're all good buddy, even though I just met you, the fucker.
Then he nearly kills him.
Then he nearly killed his dad accidentally because hey, I'm going to show you how to get into family business. What's the family business, Dad? I'm going to show you how to blow shit up with boomerangs.
Yeah.
It was a razor boomerang.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Still.
Didn't it have a fucking bomb attached to it?
Yeah.
Or was that the one?
Did.
First one did. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Blew up a goddamn tree.
And that's when they discover that his son has super speed.
Okay,
Yeah.
my question, is he like the fucking illegitimate son of like one of Thawne's fucking relatives or something?
It makes me wonder because it can't be Golden Glider because
No,
she
obviously
didn't have
not.
those powers.
Right.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to take the moment to look it up, they can tell you who it is.
It's Thawne's sister, I think. Or something, or I don't know, or let me check. Okay. Boom. Let's see. Oh, come on.
While Daryl's finding that, we'll go to the next scene.
Yeah.
When we get back, we get back to Tim. He's like, all right, like Dad, just take care of yourself. I'm going out and patrolling because that's what I do. He's like, wish you wouldn't. I like he even pulls the "I'm your father" thing.
Right?
He's like, yeah, I know, but Dad, I got to do the right thing here, kind of thing. Yeah. And so he's all distraught and everything, and then now. Considering what we know now, what everybody knows has already read this is fucked up shit right here. This is fucked up. So he gets a package, and in it is a gun, and it says, protect yourself. And I think, wasn't Tim's dad like a fucking, I forgot what he was, like archaeologist or something. He was something, he had some, basically he would not be unfamiliar with a gun. Kind of thing.
Oh, and mind you, when
He was just a business dude.
the note also denotes that,
and it was that he knows it's Robin. Yeah, knows Robin.
Oh, Melanie Thawne is his
Oh, it is.
mother.
So it was okay.
Yeah, and she's let's see, she's descended from a long line of Thawnes, including Professor Zoom and many different Cobalt Blues. So yeah, she's actually, I guess...
But that's how he got the speed power.
Right,
speedster
yeah.
adjacent.
Well, she's just a descendant of or yeah.
And as this is going on, the autopsy, as Piper pointed out, is still going on.
Yeah.
They're implying that weeks.
But they do
passed.
cover that. They say they want to get to the end of it before her body decomposes and shit. Like,
Yeah, she started smelling and decomposing a while.
Yeah.
That's another one of those suspension of disbelief or whatever comic book logic things where I'm like, that's nasty.
Yeah.
Well,
They shouldn't have been able to find what they found at that point because it should have been mush. Like,
But was it really weeks or was it week? You know what I'm saying?
Might have been a week.
Yeah.
Either way,
think
there
it
have been
was
some
a week
real life
and some
autopsies
days.
that have taken longer than that.
Right.
a week and some days at this point, but that's nasty.
Well, and it's not unheard of for people to exhume bodies and
Well, and
perform
also,
autopsies and shit.
they make a
Sure,
point
but
that they
the longer it goes, the less you're gonna find.
Yeah, but they make it a point that they kept her on ice, like
Right.
really a lot, And plus, we're talking about people who have superpowers, so let's give them a little bit of leeway here.
I love how you're like, my suspension of disbelief. Bitch, it's a fucking superhero comic.
I like how your first episode back and you start giving people shit. Good job, Jordan.
My
is it your second?
My
Well,
thing was though that
well, good
comics
job either
and
way.
comic book readers are both growing up, even the young ones and the new ones,
Yeah, I understand.
where they have to put more actual science into it for people to keep
I don't
following and
know.
not laughing. Which
I don't
is
know.
Or a
interesting
better
when you go
explanation.
back, if
Right.
you backtrack to old comics, these old ass comics had people's attention and had a fan following. They're funny as shit.
Well, no, the
Because
thing
some
is,
of them are just like, blah, blah,
think
blah, science. Fuck it.
Suspension of
Like,
disbelief, though, I think is an ageless concept, and I think as long as the story is well written, it facilitates that suspension of disbelief. You know what I
I
mean?
think it's the way people
And-
think, but I like it. The way people
Piper,
think
here's
has
the thing
evolved
I
to
think
the
you're
fact
forgetting,
that, or evolved to the point that you have to put more
I don't know,
realistic
man.
sounding science
Dude,
on it.
our interactions with people on Twitter have made it very clear that fuck it, it's devolving. But
Those people don't read comics.
Okay, Jason, then Jordan. Go ahead.
The thing is, there's only two ways to handle this. It's to hand wave it all off, or to take a realistic, grounded, reasonable approach. Because anything in between, they're just going to call bullshit.
Right.
Well, that's why I can believe PIM particles. You know, because they at least kind of made it sound sciencey enough to where they weren't just like, it just happens. Like,
but to Jason's point, though,
I sound sciencey enough.
But to Jason's point, though, I think if you go too realistic in the middle of a fucking superhero drama like this, you know, you damage suspension of disbelief more than you help reinforce it.
Yeah.
Because you've presented us all these fantastical things, and then all of a sudden you're fucking hitting us with like real science and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
as long as they take the time to explain why real science can't explain some things and can explain other things.
I will.
If it doesn't make me back up and laugh my ass off, it's doing good.
Okay.
But if it makes me laugh,
I will say one word that will completely deflate your entire fucking argument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even get to hear it.
A wizard did it.
Okay. Let me. Wait a minute. Wait. I'm gonna not put an end to the argument because it's a good argument, but I'm gonna put the ratchet defense on this. And the ratchet defense, if you you know I'm a Transformers fan, you know that by looking at my fucking Twitter. Ratchet could fix anything. Right? Yeah. Ratchet and Wheeljack could literally fix anything, okay? It didn't matter how busted up a jar. Yeah, you know, remember, you know, you're all sparks now. Nah, fuck it, we'll put it in the jar. It'll be all right. You got it. You know, it's fine. Everything's fine. As soon as Ratchet and Wheeljack bit the bullet, Optimus Prime fucking died.
He could fix anything.
Okay,
his broken
and the reason
marriage.
I'm saying this is because the people doing the autopsy are just not random people. That's Dr. Midnight and fucking, oh God.
Some random dude. Fucking
Was it Mr. Terrific?
Mr. Terrific. So these are like some of the smartest guys on Earth, right? So I think they might have figured out how to keep a body cold.
No. You're not getting what I thought was funny about that part. What I thought was funny about that part was like dudes in a room the entire week with this corpse, like pissing in bottles, maybe, I don't know. Like,
well,
I'm just
a lot of that shit happened off panel, though. So
I know, but that's what I'm saying. I'm filling in what happened off panel, and it's fucking funny.
You're okay. So that's a you thing, though, rather than the storytelling.
You know what? We're gonna go from this high note to an extreme low. Hit it, Wayne.
Yeah. Okay,
Wait,
so
this
Jack.
is a high note.
Oh,
That's
God.
bad.
Mr. Drake is in his house and he's like, you know, all scared and everything. And he's called, basically emergency JLA line. And Oracle is basically, and basically he don't know she's Oracle. He don't know she's Barbara Gordon. You know, he just, he knows that Tim's Robin. And he probably knows Bruce is Batman. It's probably as far as it goes.
Yeah.
So, you know, and she's trying to trying to be her best 911 caller, 911 operators, just chill out. Somebody's on the way.
But Wayne, did you mention that he just received a box?
I did. I did that earlier.
I wanted to make sure because we had gotten so goddamn far off track.
No. I mentioned that.
Okay. Good.
So anyway, he's just, just like, I got, someone sent me a gun. He just said, no, I'm calling your son. We can take care of this. It's like, no, I got it. Just, I might need some help. And it's like, somebody's on the way. Don't you fucking do anything.
Yeah, don't be a hero, man.
The thing that got me is like when they said, thanks for picking me up, and then Tim, get home now, and it said, I was Oracle telling Tim, it says, what are you talking about? He said, it's your dad, and Batman, not even hesitate, turn that fucking Batmobile, fucking 180 right in the middle of the fucking street.
And he straight up says, not again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was nice and dramatic. I really liked it.
Oh, dude,
also, fuck anybody else that was driving on that road. They
Batman,
can die. Fuck
this is like one of those situations, think about this. This is a situation where Batman knew he couldn't do anything.
Yeah, did you see the look on Batman's face?
Yeah.
When he's like, Bruce, please help him.
When he said, call Wally, you knew things are fucked.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, at that point, he's like, that's when Batman actually did not have the answers.
Right.
Yes.
But that look on Batman's face, pure desperation, he understood. I mean, dude, nobody understands better than Bruce.
That's why he said not
what
again.
Tim's
Not
face
only
is.
is he an orphan,
Right.
but he's really good at making orphans. So, I mean...
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
Batman's new identity, the orphan maker.
Now to be fair, with Dick Grayson, he was already a orphan when
Batman could have made him not an orphan, but he's just slow.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. To be fair, though,
In both cases.
Batman was doing everything in his power here. I mean,
he was trying to get the speedsters involved, and apparently that was the funny thing, because apparently Captain Boomerang had already sent his son a message saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna go make us some money. I might not come back for this, but you're gonna be taken care of." And he's like, "Oh fuck, I just got to don't do that shit."
Right?
yeah. It's fucked up on both.
And then we come to it, and you find out it's Captain Boomerang that's trying to kill Tim, Jack Drake, and then Jack actually gets it off. He shoots him first. And at that point, I think we're all like, "Yeah!" And then he throws the boomerang. We're like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, that was my fucking reaction exactly. Like, I was like, "Fuck yeah!" And then next panel, God damn it!
And then there's just this bleeding out.
Yep. Both of them dead.
Mm-hmm. And then the next issue.
Another amazing fucking cover.
Yeah. Great cover. Just Batman just distraught.
Yeah.
Looking over Hollow, who could have done this shit?
Yeah.
And then fucking Tim in
Tim just running up the stairs, Batman mentioning that police, if the police are there, he's stripping his costume off as he's running up the stairs.
Special.
Doesn't feel for a pulse, he doesn't need to thanks to his training and shit. Still ignores it. Like, God.
Yeah.
And then this full page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That right there just blew me away when Batman said, "I've got you."
Yep. And he's embracing Tim and over the dead body of his fucking father. Yeah.
And this tells me, this right here tells you how much pull the League has, and not just the League but Batman. You got like a fucking I guess he looks like an FBI agent. Yeah. Because Boomerang's son shows up and he's like, "I'm looking for my father." He said so every time one of you, and he says, "One of you," he says, "We're not morons, son. Your father's dead, and I'm truly sorry that I truly am. But this time he's staying that way."
Right.
If you got a problem with that, write your congressman.
But what's he doing here? I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. Him.
I liked that.
I don't know what you're talking about. Batman, he's right there. Let me say it again, son. Wait a minute, hold on. Let me do it. Let me do this right.
Yep.
I don't know what about.
Oh, Jesus, man.
There's no one killing us agents.
And see, this kind of refers to what I was talking about earlier, Piper, how, or just all of you really, how they're, even though they may not work with the law entirely, they work within the law and with the
try to work within the boundaries while being outside of it.
They still all started out as vigilante.
Sure, absolutely. But, this is kind of them saying, the FBI straight up saying, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. It's kind of like there's that support there, you know what I mean?
There is no Batman.
Right.
And then we go through, to the next little scenes where, basically people are like mourning, in their own way and, getting closer to their families. And then I think the thing that gets me is the scenes with Bruce, where it's just like, going Alfred saying, "I'm sorry, Master Bruce," and then Bruce saying, "I'm sorry, Dick," and then Bruce saying, "I'm sorry, Tim."
Yeah. Later,
driving home that orphan maker status.
Dick trying to call Tim over and over.
Yeah.
The feels came back there too.
Oh yeah, because Dick was like having none of it.
Yeah. It was sad.
It just seemed like Superman, as Clark. Because he knows these kids, he knows all these guys, and it's like, wow. He's worked with Tim. Bruce is like his best friend, so of course he knows Tim very well, and so.
Yeah.
Also, I like the fact that the three guys that they arrested earlier just gets off.
Yeah, Deadshot and
because of the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, there's that panel that Errol was talking about.
Yeah.
With Dr. Light. Just kind of like knowingly looking at the reader,
Yeah.
Slowly grinning.
So you think, and like I'm sure Piper was thinking the thing, oh, we must be getting to the end, because things are like.
Well, I just read the end, and it's because there is no closure here. Well, there's some closure, but not enough closure.
Right, and that was my whole thing with it too.
So Boomer Sung becomes the new Captain Boomerang essentially. And then it shows like Ollie fighting Deathstroke, and then basically Deathstroke just kind of lets him off easy and says, this is yours, we're not done.
Yeah. Give him his arrow back.
Give him his arrow back. Yep. And then Flash shows up, and then he's like, he's like, hey, you got a problem there? He's like, yeah, kinda. And there was this thing, you remember you told me that story about what you did to Dr. Light? Well, when Dr. Light showed us what happened, when he exploded,
yeah, I saw it.
I kind of saw Batman.
Yeah,
and you didn't say he was there the first time. He was there, wasn't he? Yeah, what happened? What happened, Ollie?
Yeah, why didn't you tell me he was there?
Ollie's just like, all right, so what had happened was...
See, what happened was...
and Wally's already like, God damn it!
Yeah.
And then we all get the shock, is like, the League took, like Jordan said earlier, that they took Batman's memory as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because we all know Batman ain't gonna stand for that shit.
Well, and see, the thing is, they went ahead with what they did, because usually Bruce isn't the kind to stay around. Once the job's done, he leaves. But because it was Sue, he came back.
Right.
And he happened upon them wiping, not just wiping Light's mind, but doing a little, the memory altercation, or the personality alteration, rather. Memory altercation, like they were fighting his memories.
Memory altercation. I'm going to remember that, because that's awesome.
But yeah, Bruce comes in and sees this, utters two words, what are you doing? And gets ready to fucking take him down. And
doesn't even wait for an answer.
Right.
Oh. They just say get off of him, essentially, like.
Right.
And then
with emotions being charged, and
Zatanna, basically puts him under spell to stop him in his place.
Mm-hmm.
And it said, and they were all like, they couldn't believe what they, it's like, did we really just do this to fucking Batman?
Yeah.
Holy fucking shit. But as they said, Bruce would never stand for it, not without his say-so, and said the alternative would have meant the destruction of the League. Which was prophetic, wasn't it, Jason?
Yeah.
Right.
But
well, I mean, it's kind of funny that you flip that on its ear in Tower of Babel.
Yeah. Well, not only that, there was another story. Later on in this, you're spurning from this, that basically was the same kind of thing.
Right. Doesn't Batman find out, or he remembers?
Yeah, that was a nice little story about that too. It was called Crisis of Conscience.
Okay.
It was a Justice League story. And,
so it was addressed.
Yeah. Well, basically what had happened is that not only Batman wasn't the only leaguer that they mind wiped.
No.
They mind wiped Manhunter. They mind wiped Martian Manhunter.
Wow.
What?
Yeah. How'd you do that to the...
What?
Because, okay, since we're talking about it, I'll tell you what happened. So those members of the League, at this point, Hal is back. By this time. And so it was like them, and Wally and all. And they're discussing what happened with Batman. Because Wally's like getting to the point, he's like, I need to tell Bruce. This is getting ridiculous.
Something's got to give.
I can't keep this from Bruce. This is ridiculous. He's done so much for us. And they keep saying, you know what he's going to do, kind of thing. He's going to do, they're being kind of pedantic about it. Well, of course, John shows up, right? And he's like, what are you talking about?
Oh, no.
And of course, he's a fucking telepath. He knows already,
Right.
And
then, but he wants to hear it.
Right. So, he's like, they're trying to say, it's like, no, John, you got to understand. He said, like, how many did you do?
Right.
And they started not naming off people, but it says, like, in situations, and he said, and he looked at Zatanna and said, including me.
Oh, wow.
And then they said, and then he was turned his back on him, and they says, but Jean, you can't tell Bruce, and he just says he already knows.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. And then he started disappearing. They said, what are you going to do? He said, finish it.
Oh. Ooh. Wow. So what? Does he go around telling everybody they were mind wiped?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because Jean has that kind of same sense of honor and
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Like, you don't do that to people, kind of thing,
Right, right.
I mean, he's a telepath. He's a Martian. He knows. He's seen that shit.
Right.
He's lived it. So he's not going to put up with that bullshit. And then that story kind of led to where like people like the secret society, also, remembered. Because what basically what happened was they did ended up doing another mic, but John did it this time, so it actually worked.
Oh, okay.
John's an actual telepath, so he knows how to like do shit like that. But he didn't like alter them or anything like that. Like what they did
just
to
wipe their
wipe their the memories of that. Okay. But yeah, so it was just a really powerful when he just said he already knows because he's linked to everybody's mind, so if he could find out real quick what people know, so.
Yeah, and they kind of address that in this, like Batman. He's a detective, Basically, if he doesn't know, he'll know it. Like,
and it's kind of implied he kind of knew then because at the end, it's like when he's looking at Wally, he says, "Is there something wrong, Wally?"
Yeah.
It's almost, it wasn't even is there something wrong. It was more of like, is there something you want to tell me, Wally?
Yes.
He wanted to see who would be honest with him.
Right.
Because it led to Jason knows about this. It led to the OMAC project.
Yep.
Where Batman said, all right, fuckers, you want to fucking take my mind? I'm going to fucking spy on the shit out of y'all. And I'm going to create...
Oh, Lord.
And I'm going to create Brother Eye, and then I'm going to create a system where you can be fucking taken out if you go too fucking far. How about that? Fuck you.
So so this basically led in a roundabout way to the fucking Tower of Babel shit?
No, Tower of Babel was years before this.
Was it? I'm not thinking of Tower of Babel. I'm thinking about
Tower of Babel
that was before this, wasn't it?
Yeah. Tower of Babel was where they just, somebody used Bruce's plans.
Right.
This was Bruce
That was
actively.
before this?
Yeah. This was Bruce actively doing shit. This was nobody using Bruce's plans. He was doing this.
He was doing it. Okay.
Yeah. He was like.
It was like round 2 of that shit, but Bruce is in charge.
Set checkmate back up.
Right.
Yep.
But we're getting too far off the path, I think.
Oh yeah, no. Like I said, we're getting to the nitty gritty here. So
Yeah.
Batman's still at the point like I've got I'm finding out who the fuck is really doing this shit. You people are taking too much fucking time,
Right.
And then Dr. Midnight finds he finds the piece of evidence that everybody had missed.
Yeah.
Where basically it wasn't that, and it was funny because it happened at the same. Batman and her found it, and Batman and him figured it out at the same time, which is actually hilarious.
Yeah. It took them both that long.
No. Sue did not die from being burned. She died from basically having a stroke. Why did she have a stroke? Well, somebody was standing on her brain.
Yep. Tiny footprints on her brain.
Yep.
It was better than I thought, because I thought at first she had just died from being tossed around or whatever.
Right.
Beat up, whatever it was.
Yeah.
That got her thrown into the table first.
Yeah. She wasn't getting beat up. She was actually having a stroke. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, of course, everybody's first inclination was, who's the man that's known for shrinking, huh?
Yeah, that was my first what the fuck.
Yeah, everybody thought it was Ray Palmer, the Atom.
And now this was the thing that, especially, given the revelation that follows, I thought was a little cheesy, was they went out of their way to suddenly portray Ray, or at least draw him in a way that makes him look very suspect.
Yes.
Very sinister.
Right.
Yes.
And I
He
thought
suddenly had a sinister light to him.
Right. And I thought that was a little shitty.
But when you really think about it, he just had a boner.
Right, exactly. Well, and that was the great thing. See, I mean, in a way, I thought that those panels, the one he's looking in the mirror, and then the one where he's staring creepily at his ex, that was, I thought it was cheesy in the way that it was obviously meant to get you to suspect him and set us up for that revelation, and then boom, the genius was, it was immediately turned on its ear,
Yeah.
And fucking...
I still don't think that they really needed him to... They didn't really
No, they didn't need to do that.
They didn't need to force so much of the sinisterness.
Right.
I think they could have implied it a little bit more lightly.
Right. I
So
agree
it
with you.
didn't look so, so it didn't look so cheesy, yeah.
Right. No, I fully agree with you, but at the same time,
I like
if they had to put it in...
I went from what the fuck to holy what the fuck pretty fast, so that was neat.
Yeah, and that's why I think it was effective, even though, like, my first inclination upon seeing this was like, oh my god, that's a little heavy-handed.
Which I find it funny. Now, here, I'm just looking back. Everybody thought it was, Adam.
Right.
But now looking back, except Batman.
Nope. Yeah,
Yeah, because everybody's like, because like, Wildcat's like saying you're nuts. You're telling me the Adam killed Sue Dibney. It's like everybody's saying, Adam did this, Adam did that. Of course, then she kind of dropped the hint that she knew something about what was going on that shouldn't have.
The note.
And that's so typical too, though. That kind of sucked in the fact that, well, geez, that's how it always goes. Somebody somebody does something, gets away with it really good, and then accidentally says too much information. That's how it always happens.
And what I find funny about the thing with Jean, right before that, she's kind of getting those crazy eyes.
Yeah.
She's.
Yeah.
That's when
she's looking at him on the bed.
Yeah. And then that's when Ray said, "How'd you know there was a note?" And then Batman was like, "Ray, it's not Ray."
Right.
No, he knew it was Jean. Because he's Batman. Of course he knows. He's fucking Batman. Because Batman went back. Who benefits?
Right.
Who benefited in this whole story? Who benefited from spouses or ex-spouses getting closer to their loved ous?
And it was fucking in our faces the entire time. The answer was in our faces.
I really liked that, how they brought in the who benefits for us to read it again, too.
Right.
And go,
she became closer to Ray throughout this whole thing, So, and it was an accident.
And the first thing that did pop in my head, though, was that What's-Her-Face was the only, Sue didn't get a note. Actually, I'm really disappointed in the fact that this wasn't the most elaborate mystery that Sue has ever pulled off.
Oh, God. You mean she shows up alive at the end?
Yes. Because she didn't get a note and everybody else did. And I wanted it to be that she went nuts trying to figure out how to do the best mystery ever. And she went far enough to actually have people get killed, even though she didn't mean for them to get killed, kind of thing. And she had faked her death and this and that.
Yeah, that would be like fucking like insidious. Like,
right.
So basically, Jean's motivation, except a little less self-serving in the sense that, her motivation was purely like sexual and
he wanted to be back with Ray. That was all there was to it.
Right.
And the only way to draw him back was like, I need to protect you, kind of thing.
Right.
I still feel like there's better ways to do that, but she could have just sent herself death threats. But
I thought it was pretty effective because it was such a goddamn stupid plan too.
It's a stupid plan, but it had consequences, you know. And then
she almost killed herself for it. So and
it brought revelations to the forefront and shit, and
But I like the fact is that she said I wasn't trying to kill her.
Right. I just got a little too big, or whatever it was, and
she didn't do the whatever it was correctly,
right?
And ended up being the wrong size.
I really like the more panels go on, just the crazier Jean looks.
Yeah. and she goes from somebody who did something stupid out of desperation to somebody who clearly doesn't realize the depths of what she did.
Yeah.
Hold up a sec.
Because
Jordan, you're coming through real quiet.
Yeah.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
You're
fine.
You sound fine to me, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think you were just kind of you were saying it, but you were saying it kind of quietly. That's what.
Right.
Oh, I got you.
But as these panels wear on, it's like he's like, people died and shit, and she's just like, she gets this crazed look on her face, and she
goes like,
and she
it was
takes
just
a
like the old days,
nonchalant
wasn't it? He
attitude.
said, "Oh God, you're insane."
Right.
She was like, "But it was an accident, though.
Right.
And now you're in my bed. So what's wrong?"
Well, and that's the thing too. This entire time, she would have just let it go if she hadn't have slipped up.
Yeah.
And that's fucking psychotic.
And the thing is, if Sue actually had lived, none of this would have got back to her.
Right.
Because she just had a stroke or something. That was it. Just enough to scare everybody. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. In her desperation, she made the situation worse.
It makes me wonder how that would have made anybody think that somebody was after her.
Right.
By just going in, because she made it sound like she just wanted to knock her out.
Well, that was
something.
I think that was just part one of a many-tiered plan. And by attacking the one member of the league, the family of the one member of the league who was public, I think that was meant to send fucking ripples of fear down the entire league. and it worked.
That was definitely the point.
Right.
I'm just wondering how she planned to do that successfully if she hadn't accidentally killed her, because it doesn't seem like a good plan. What also bugs me is
it wasn't.
This lady's definitely nuts because she's a freaking I don't know. She's a lawyer.
Yeah.
So, and being a lawyer, I feel like she should have more wits. And her shit together more, especially when you have to pull poker faces, which she did really good. But still, there's this, you're a lawyer, you want to get back with him, and your plan is what? Like...
Well, see, and
but I like the fact, just real quick, I like the fact that she, looking through she fucking made sure to hire Boomerang because he's a screw-up.
Right, right.
It's like, I didn't think he was actually going to kill.
So she's like, well, go figure. The one time he does his job right, that was an accident too.
Right.
And I love her defense through all
like,
of this.
I even sent him a gun.
Her only defense, though, is I didn't intend for people to die.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I was going to say, the final few panels, or pages, I think, kind of answer your question, Piper. It was never really well thought out. It was a single-minded, kind of stupid, desperate move meant to get Ray back,
It's
in her good graces.
Because, like I said,
at the same time,
to be a lawyer, not only, going through all that school and this and that, you have to be intelligent. But you generally have to have, pretty good cunning.
History is filled with smart people doing dumb things for dumb reasons.
Yeah.
So,
It just kind of blew my mind, how dumb she went with how cunning she could be.
Well, here's the thing that you're forgetting.
That just puts a fine point on the desperation.
Go ahead, Jordan. Go ahead, Jordan.
People who, especially when there's a deep emotional thing, will act very fucking rashly. Take the smartest person you know in your life, you put them in a particular emotionally devastating thing. It doesn't have to be a huge thing, but it can be something that slowly creeps up on you. You're gonna do stupid stuff, and that's how I always read this. She was a woman who was lonely, and it wasn't a loneliness that could be fixed by any fucking Dick, Tom, or Harry out there. She needed the person who she used to be married to, and she didn't know of any other way how to get his attention than, my life is literally in danger, I need you to protect me.
Right.
But yeah, her plan was really, really fucking dumb, but given the emotional element that they're trying to play off here, I totally understand it. Also, you gotta just admit, sometimes bitches be crazy.
Right.
I do and don't understand it, because if it was one of those, she made it sound like she plotted it, and I feel like if she plotted it ahead of time, it would be more intelligent than it was.
She did plot it, but it was a very half-assed plot.
Yeah, because when you bring emotion in there, it's more of a spur-of-the-moment thing, like them deciding to wipe that dude's brain. That's an emotionally charged decision because it's right there in your face and it's happening or just happened and stuff like that. Hers was a plan.
Here's a woman that the book has made it very clear left Ray herself.
See, that's weird too.
She regretted it,
why
though.
don't you just, I don't know, have angry sex and get over it?
But that's the thing. I think she didn't believe she was in a position to do that, to approach him and just be honest, because she was the one who fucking did it. Took half of everything he owned, half his patents, half his, clients, everything like that. And
she should have started with giving him his patents back and then going, hey,
that's the thing.
Fuck?
And we are supposing rationality in somebody who this book makes very clear at the end is fucking psychotic.
Yeah, but for her to be able to hold her own as a lawyer, being that nuts.
See, you're assuming a lot of things about a person's mental state because of their occupation.
Right.
Yeah. Because there are some crazy fucking lawyers out here. We see them on TV every day.
Yeah, but they're outwardly crazy, and that's part of their gimmick. Divorce lawyers, dude. Those are funny.
I just want to get to this point here real quick because we're getting near the end here. The fact that she is so smug about it.
Right.
That's
the thing.
He's looking at her with righteous indignation. He's very justified in how he's feeling right now. Let's be honest. And she says, "What? Now you're mad?
Right.
Don't look at me like that, Ray. You should be thanking me." And he gets angrier. He said, "Oh, come on. Now comes the condemnation. Please, Ray, you're not Bruce."
Right. Those are the pedals right there that put the fine point on how goddamn unhinged this woman is.
And then the point where she says, "What are you going to do? You're going to punch me out? You going to take me to?" He said, and then she goes, "Now here's the key," where she says, "I'm your wife."
Right.
Then put X there. She says, "I'm your wife." And she's already in her head. They're already back together, married.
And would you guys
think back?
I
how many times?
I took note of that was off.
Right. Yeah, that did stand out. But how many times in our lives have we heard that it's always the ones you least expect, the ones who seem normal? Like, by all accounts, like Ted Bundy was like...
I was really hoping it was Sue. That she went so nuts trying to really make a mystery that would throw him
that would have been neat.
That she went this far.
That would have been neat because they did go out of their way to portray her as somebody who was well loved and just like universally just loved and the nicest person to have. But I think that would have been a little too fucking cartoon cliche.
I want to hear what George's got to say.
No, this is too.
Hold up.
Yeah.
I got a storm fucking brewing. Weren't you the same motherfucker who was just like suspension of disbelief and shit? If they ended this fucking book with, oh, it was Sue all along, she fucking got him. You fucking kidding me? Bitch, what the fuck you talking about?
It would have been great. And she went nuts for his. She went insane trying to finally trick him for his birthday.
But see, like just what I was saying. Just what I'm saying though, the only thing that would have supported that is how they set her up as such a cool character. So the payoff wouldn't have been there. You know what I'm saying? Like
her not getting a note.
It would have been too
made me hopeful.
Right.
But the fact that she was being autopsied like the entire
right. Yeah.
I was kind of like, yeah, she's pretty dead. Yeah.
Right. But I don't think the payoff would have been earned at all in that case.
I do like the fact that she says you can't just throw me in some cell and toss the key, and then he did exactly.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Right.
By the way, she got out. She got out, by the way.
Became Eclipse.
What drove me nuts was like, what drove me nuts a little bit was the fact that like he wasn't even fazed by the whole reports apparently of her being like abused in there by other inmates. He was like, what the fuck ever. Like,
it kind of implied they put in Arkham and just like locked her up. You know, like she's not getting back out.
We're medicating her and fucking locking her away, and that's it. That's
but she's medicated as shit and apparently getting abused by other inmates, and he's like, yeah, whatever.
That's Arkham.
But did they kind of play on that, Jason, later on when she became Eclipso? They said she was heavily medicated, and
yeah. No, that's the funny thing. It's
that
like
would probably do it.
This sets her up as a huge fucking character.
Right. Yeah.
She becomes Eclipso and nearly destroys all magic.
Oh wow!
Yep. That led to Day of Vengeance. Yep.
Yeah. Interesting as she goes from I was just trying to get back with my dude. Oops. To that.
It's kind of funny, like reading through it. Like at the end, you see some people hanging up the cape.
Yeah.
You know, they're like the chick from the beginning who was like talking with Ralph.
Yeah, she was done.
Yeah, she was done after that. You know.
See, and that's where they showed what. Tim was like they were trying to
Tim trying to reach Dick.
Yeah, Dick was trying to call him.
Or Dick was trying to reach Tim. Yeah.
He's just like covered in blankets. I mean, what do you do when like something like that happens? You just
and he's supposed to be 16, so I mean
he just goes inwards at that point.
Yeah.
Right. And I thought this was kind of poignant, man, given the thrust of the story, you know, between Wally and Ollie at this point. You know, Wally reaches out to Ollie.
Yeah. And they're still friends, you know.
Right.
Things and stuff like that, so.
They're frenemies. No.
Invites him out for dinner and Ollie accepts, and, you know, it was, I don't know, something about that given the fucking horrors we just witnessed, you know, for the last couple hundred pages. It just kind of, you know, it was that human moment that I kind of think, I don't know, there's so many powerful fucking panels, just single panels in this goddamn book. That fucking hits you in the feels. This is, you know. I mean,
and then like getting to before the epilogue, like the last panel before the epilogue here is like you know, that scene I was talking about where it's like, is there a problem, Wally? No, nothing. He says, say what you're thinking. He's like, he's trying to goad him. He's like, come on, Wally. He's almost like hoping. You see, like he's got that like, you know, the narrow look, and he's kind of like got that like, oh, I can't trust you either kind of thing.
Right. Like,
no, I mean, that was a lot of foreshadowing for stuff that was coming up. You know.
Yeah.
I think he was hoping. He's like, you know, even if he pulled him to the side and told him to say, well, at least I can trust you.
Right.
You know?
He was reaching out for some hope.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want to have to do what I've got to do kind of thing to everybody. So, you know what I mean?
Is there somebody here that I can trust? Yeah. And
then we had the epilogue, you know, Ralph in his home by himself.
Oh
and,
God, man, that's
That
another
was-
fucking.
Well, remember that. Who was it that told him? Was it Ollie who told him to kind of do that?
Right.
And then when he said, "I love you too," it's like, whoa, that was.
It wasn't creepy in the least. You knew exactly what he was doing, but it was, God damn, lump in my throat, man.
Yeah.
Especially if you
Definitely
know
depressing.
what happens to Ralph in the future.
Right. Him and Sue become ghost detectives.
Right. but just seeing him joking, and trying to be, and that smile on his face.
He's trying to be elongated man again. That's
right. It just, God, that hurt.
Yeah.
Oh man,
So that's Identity Crisis.
it's a fucking amazing book.
Yep.
One of
More
the
to
be-
the
I've
point,
had
Yeah.
so much fun reading this one, man.
that is
Like-
literally the 2-hour mark.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to give quick thoughts on it and then wrap it up, man?
But at least I finished reading it by the end, so.
Yeah. I'm proud of you,
I
Piper.
read the whole thing during the show.
But you'd read it before, man.
Oh, yeah, it's like
constantly
my
going
7th
back
or
and
8th
forth.
time reading it.
But yeah, I sat down this morning to read it, and I had to keep taking breaks, man, because it was just like it was a lot of shit all at once.
This one takes you on a ride.
Right.
Definitely.
But it's so goddamn well written, so impactful. It raises so many questions and leaves it up to you to decide. Even though Wally does kind of play the audience proxy, it's still not telling you what to think. It's leaving you to make those conclusions yourself. And oh man, it just and knowing the ramifications, the ripples that fucking radiate out from this story, it just. It takes on a hugeness, in a way too. This is so much bigger than just this incident, but even just this incident had a lot packed into it.
Yeah.
So reading it was fun. Talking about it with you guys has been a fucking blast. I mean, how many times do we go 2 hours?
Yeah, let's go a quick round robin. Jordan, what were your thoughts like overall of the book?
Overall, it's really fantastic, and it's a hallmark to even how, almost 15 years ago, DC was a lot better off with storytelling than they are now.
Yeah. It led to some crap.
Yeah.
But this is
It's
definitely
but this is one of those situations where I kind of say this is when you get too many cooks in the kitchen, because
Sure.
this was like a good story, and I said if they just like played off that and left it like that and not tried to tie it into another event and all that stuff and into another event and into another, it would have been fine.
just have the ramifications dealt with on a more personal scale.
And let them be permanent ramifications. Don't
Right.
just how do you change the status quo? Hey, you find out half the fucking league was mind wiping people.
Right.
That's how you change the fucking status quo of a fucking comic book universe.
You know what? I know I said my piece. I just wanted to add one more thing. This struck me from fucking page one as being a comic written and drawn by people who fucking love comics. They know the lore. It's fucking it was written by somebody who loves what he's doing and loves comics and loves telling good stories. Sorry.
He's a
Just-
novelist,
That's
too.
so goddamn refreshing.
Brad Meltzer is a novelist, so it kind of
Oh, nice.
and it went into his wheelhouse because he always said he loves like he always loved the Justice League. He said Justice League was his favorite book.
That's awesome.
So it played right into what he wanted.
So he's literally somebody who fucking loves comics. Yeah.
And then Rags is just amazing artist. Like once he got it down, like you
Right.
said, there was some early that first issue you were like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah.
Then it mellowed out. So I think it just got better as it went on.
Dude, and his recent art in general is just so much more.
Oh yeah, definitely. So Piper, what was your final thoughts?
I like how many characters are brought into this, and even some of them are only in for like a panel or two, you don't feel like they were just put there to fill space and look how many people we got here.
Right.
All of them still felt like they had a really important purpose of being in the comic, even if they didn't have any lines. So I really liked that because that was neat getting to see a lot of them. I like comics that really make you think and question, like, I don't know, your own way of thinking, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I also like when DC can get a bunch of characters together that are often portrayed as really lighthearted or funny or whatever, and force them into really a lot darker situations. There's not where there's not funny stuff to say.
And yet they still manage to speak with their own voice. Yeah, right.
They're not out of character. I like how easy this one was to follow. Some comics aren't, so especially the more characters you put in. And I also like that this is another comic that was able to make me feel uncomfortable, but that made me want to read more. So
right, yeah.
So yeah, I actually really liked this, and I'm really surprised I haven't read it all sooner.
Right.
Really surprised that I haven't read it sooner.
It's a gem. It's a real gem of a story,
Dude, it made me regret that I wasn't a bigger DC fan growing up. Yeah. Goddamn, like a lot of the DC stuff we covered, the older DC stuff has been solid, for the most part, and it's, I mean, just
Yeah, from like the late '90s to the mid 2000s, there was some good solid DC work, out there. So
yeah,
I like how I always in general view DC as way more lighthearted, and
really?
I forget that comic wise.
Yeah.
I've always viewed it as more lighthearted in the storylines or the characters themselves, and I forget that they can actually, every once in a while, I forget that they can actually pull off much darker stories outside of just Batman.
Yeah.
Outside of just Batman is what I'm saying. Their movies try too hard to be dark and gritty.
Exactly.
If they would just follow this, then the characters can still be the characters, and they can still be colorful and still tackle dark stuff.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the thing, like, as dark as this story was, I think it wasn't just, like, super fucking, emo drama bullshit.
It was like try hard dark.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It was dark because it was a dark subject.
But it was also emotional.
And it wasn't even Batman's moments were just like, it wasn't like grim, greedy Batman.
Right.
It was literally like, I got to solve this mystery before more people die.
Right.
Yeah.
Thing,
and it was dripping with all sorts of emotion.
Right.
I mean, I was excited. I was like fucking. I mean, I felt Batman's panic and Tim's panic. And like, I mean, it was a fucking roller coaster in all the best ways.
Too.
Yeah.
Art was on point.
Yeah.
So, Jason, you got any finals?
This was like the start of a massive, overwhelmingly huge series of events with DC.
Was it an unfortunate series?
That literally took them from the pinnacle to the pit.
Yeah. They started off on the mountaintop and then went down from there, unfortunately.
So would you say it's taken a good idea too far? In that sense, like...
I think it was like what I said earlier. I think Jason will agree. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, Jason, but it's like, too many cooks.
Right.
Not just that, it was just from this one storyline, there are so many seeds of further storylines.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Hal coming back.
Mm-hmm.
There's, a 6-issue miniseries right there?
Yep.
So stretching things a little too far.
After the, 12 or 13 issues leading up to him no longer being the Spectre.
Yep.
It's just... This was like 3 or 4 years worth of stories compacted into under 2.
Yep.
They were not given enough room to breathe.
I agree with that. Like, honestly, if they, and I think, and you probably agree with this, Jason. I think if comic book publishers would do this instead of like making everything have to be a 1-year project, instead it's like, hey, let's make it a 5-year project.
Yeah, like we're talking about this. Might have been last week. People like Claremont getting 12+ years.
Right.
Yeah. He gets to tell his story.
Hasn't the New 52 stuff kind of been an experiment in that? Like
a bit,
a little bit more long form than.
Yeah.
But
what we're saying is like.
Yeah.
This book, Identity Crisis, should not have been followed up in 2 years by Infinite Crisis.
Right.
Infinite Crisis should be happening like now.
Well, see, and
you know what I mean? So,
yeah, and that's just kind of a symptom of the over-reliance on events. Yeah. And how it can...
It goes back to event fatigue, because that's the funny thing. Right. This wasn't an event.
Right.
This was just a miniseries.
Right.
This was nothing but a miniseries.
Like, this could have been played upon a lot more to be a lot bigger deal in comics going forward from this. because I've read stuff after this and I don't remember any like allusions to this or anything.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like after New 50, after like the soft reboots and the New 52, this is kind of moot at this point, and that's a real shame.
Yeah, because this could have really made for tons, and it looked like it was set up, especially when there wasn't that complete feeling of closure.
Yeah.
It feels like it was set up for tons of other storylines that didn't need to be events.
Yeah, and they did those storylines. Unfortunately, they all, it was all to get them to Infinite Crisis.
Right.
And
yeah, I just don't feel like that. I definitely don't remember there being enough like callbacks to this.
Like, I think, Jason, let me ask you this: if you think like when they mapped out, when they were doing it, when they were doing Identity Crisis, and Dan Didio said, "Okay, from this point on, this is your reference. All stories from now on stem from here."
Yeah.
Like, we're not doing reboots. We're not doing anything. This is your reboot.
Events and reboots fuck things up. Events.
Yeah.
See, this would have been good
Events
for
fuck
a kind of reboot. Like they didn't.
See, not even a reboot, I should say. This is a change of status quo.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of people hung up their capes or whatever.
Yeah.
They should have gone with that.
And it should have been like just more than just like those two. It should, they should have had like a few like big time people. Like
Right.
Like you could have seen
like with those ramifications with Batman and
just
shit.
because of politics and stuff.
But
Yeah,
it just pisses me off because they go and retcon everything, and then like these stories and the fucking emotional weight they had are basically, oh yeah, this didn't really happen in this new timeline, so everything we made you feel, it's out the window.
Didn't they retcon Oracle essentially?
Yeah, she's not in Oracle anymore.
Yeah, that is exactly when I completely jumped off. Like, I'm not able to follow comics as much as I would like to, but when they decided to retcon Oracle entirely, I was done.
Right.
Well, they didn't retcon her so much as they just shipped
New version of her.
Yeah.
They retconned enough for me to go, fuck this shit, I'm out.
It still all happened. No
do you guys
changed.
You guys
Nothing
remember,
changed. It's just what changed was the
they
result.
They fucked with it enough for me to tap out.
You're saying you would be fine with her just staying in the chair,
right?
And being Oracle.
Well,
right.
I like her
because
that
all
way,
the emotional fucking impact is gone.
Yeah. And her coming back from that, and then them fucking with it way too much, and I was done. And then Marvel had to go and let me down. So,
do you guys remember when you could pick up an issue of any given comic and there was a self-contained story there? Maybe a storyline within that comic, but it was contained to that comic, and you didn't see storylines get totally fucking railroaded by events. And I mean, how many times over the last 10, 15 years have we heard of stories that were being developed in a book being either taking back seat to events or just getting railroaded by those events and shit like that. So like now the plot developments that were set up here are just ignored and shit like that's the fucking harm, I think. And DC keeps fucking like putting itself in a position where every decade or so they got to reboot everything because the continuity gets so crazy, and they still haven't figured out how to get that under control. So it is hard kind of to get invested. But then you read a story like this, and even reading it now, knowing what would come in the years to follow, it was still a great story. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though like those events and all that shit and the retcons and reboots kind of take the emotional weight out of stories usually, I think that the strength of this one is that even knowing all that is in the works, it's still really cool.
Yeah, this is... Now we're getting dangerously close to like heading into hour 3.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, we should wrap it up.
Fucking final
this
thoughts I've ever heard in my life.
Apparently, because
all right, Jason, take it away.
All right, so if you liked it, if you're still here, man,
yeah, thanks.
go to our Twitter, Rated.5, yell at us, be like, never go this long again, motherfucker. And, yeah.